What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to part 2 of What If I Reincarnated as Inuzuka Ninja Beast in the second Shinobi War. If you are enjoying this series, please for me like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. With that guys, on the Sensei signing in. I sensed there were 6 Jonin and 17 Chunin. I signal my Ninkin to hide. I am not even 100% sure I will be able to kill one Jounin in a direct battle, and definitely not 6 of them together. I must plan and act very carefully or I might die. Now that I think back on it, I extremely regret not asking Tsune-sensei about the slug summoning. Well, no use crying over spilled milk. I must concentrate to the max. Among the Jounin there are 2 puppeteers, one with a round puppet with a head and 4 short limbs. It is able to shoot poison senbon from the holes in his round body. He also has a cockroach-looking puppet as big as his body. The other one has a shield puppet and a round puppet like the first guy. About the others 2 are fan users, and the last of them one of them uses a sword, and the last one is probably a ninjutsu-oriented ninja, because he doesn't have anything in his hands. But that might be deception, so I will be ready. The Chunin are also mixed with different type of ninjas, some puppeteers, some with swords, etc. I then say out loud, Formation 1 Asutori did a fire-style fireball, and I did a wind-style great breakthrough towards the enemy's direction. Then the Jounin, which I suspected is jutsu-orientated, comes forward and does earth-style mud wall, which is the upgrade of the earth wall jutsu to B rank. That makes a gigantic earth wall that blocks our jutsu completely. Then Asutori looks at me and assumes says, "Guys, you run away, leave me behind, I will hold them back." Just as Asutori looks in our direction, the sand ninjas take this moment to throw projectiles. So I use earth-style earth wall, and grab them both by the back of their shirts, and jump into a tree, and throw Assume behind me, and with the same hand, grab something out of my kunai pouch, and put it under Asutori's shirt. He doesn't notice. I then think, oh, I would gladly leave you, buddy, but you won't be able to hold them back for even a second. So I just say to Assume, you go and inform the camp, we will hold them back. Assume looks conflicted for a second before saying, okay, don't die, guys, or I will beat up your ghost to death. Asutori just reassured her by saying, don't worry sis, I will become Hokage one day, so I can't die now. She then turns around with tears in her eyes and runs towards the camp. I hope a Jounin follows her to stop her from going to the camp, so I can at least have less pressure. Then I hear a Jounin say, Woaki, Bora, Teta, kill her and come back immediately. 3 Chunin follow her. I am disappointed a Jounin didn't follow her, but I was hoping for far too much. What person in their right mind would send a Jounin to kill a low-level Chunin when you have plenty of Chunin around you? Asutori is about to stop them, but I say, don't worry, they will probably meet a Konoha scout, and they will help her, and Assume is a strong girl, trust in her. We need to concentrate here. He then nods with hope in his eyes. I then think that was a lie. She has a low chance of surviving against 3 Chunin, and an even more impossible chance to meet any Konoha ninja. They don't patrol this way almost at all. This is way too far from the battlefield, and they don't want to leave any traces for the sand village to find our supplies merchant. Then 5 Chunin surround us and try to attack us. I use 4-legged technique. I have the body strength of a low Jounin and agility of average Jounin. Because of my age, I am unable to raise it higher. But after the technique I have average Jounin body strength, and my agility at high Jounin. I take out a kunai and quickly strike at their necks and kill 4 of them, and one of them puts his puppet in front of him, and lets it get cut to save himself and jumps back. I then throw my kunai towards him, and it hits him in the throat. I took them off guard, they didn't expect this from a kid. Now there are 9 Chunin left and 6 Jounin. I quickly jump on the ground, and Asutori follows me. They are not underestimating us anymore, and I am immediately surrounded by 3 Jounin around me and 3 others around Asutori. As I see this, I run away from Asutori's direction. He is too concentrated to notice this. Then the 3 Jounin who were after me and 5 Chunin follow me. As I am a relatively safe distance away, I make a half tiger seal. The Jounin in front of me think I am going to use a jutsu, so the fan and the sword Jounin get behind the guy with the shield puppet, who now has the shield puppet in front of him, and the round one behind the shield puppet, just to be safe. The Chunin jump back and use 3 earth-style earth wall jutsu in front of the shield puppet. They are really on guard now, and the Chunin are really tense now. and they just wasted chakra, and they weren't even sure what kind of jutsu I was going to use. So I just look towards Asitori, who is now stabbed by the other Jounin's puppet Senbon, and wait for a chance when the other Jounins are close to him. Then they immediately get around 3 meters close to Asitori to finish him. Then I say, Katsu *BOOOM* and a gigant explosion happens. Ash flashback dash, then with the same hand I take something out of my kunai pouch and put it under Asitori's shirt. Dash flashback and yes, I did put the stronger explosive tag given to me by Tsunade in my friend's back. Do I regret it? No, I do not. It was to save myself, and I would do it all over again if I had to. But nobody must know what happened in here, so I will have to kill all the ninja here. The ninjas are all in shock, so I go toward their left side opposite of the wreckage that they are looking towards, and use fire-style fire missile jutsu. The puppet guy has the fastest reaction and defends them with the shield's puppet, and also drags the 2 Jounin and 3 Chunin behind it with his chakra strings, the 2 left out. The shield puppet gets destroyed, and the 2 Chunin unprotected by it die. The debris is stopped from hitting them by the round puppet. I am quite surprised that even the Jounin were distracted so much. I guess they had good friends that died in that explosion tag, which had the power of a B-rank jutsu at point blank. Then I see the sword Jounin coming towards me with an angry face. Then the fan Jounin calls out to him, "Whoa, stop, don't go in alone, he is a tricky opponent." The Jounin with a sword doesn't have that kind of calmness, he instead just says, "He killed my brother, I am going to chop him to pieces." Then as he is coming to me, and he is fast at around high Jounin speed, he is in front of me, and he swings his sword at me. I try to block it with my kunai. Then I feel something wrong, and as soon as my kunai touches his sword, the kunai gets cut. I jump back immediately and dodge, but I still got a large cut in my torso. At least it's not too deep of a cut. As I am still in air, I look at him. I see, so the sword is covered in wind chakra. As soon as I jump, the fan Jounin does a jutsu at me, wind release. Great task of the dragon, and then a tornado is coming towards me, and the puppet guy shoots poison Senbon at the tornado. Combination jutsu, great poison Senbon dragon, and as soon as I step on a tree, a dragon made out of Senbon comes towards me. I then make a signal to Shiro my Ninken. I then use Shunshin and appear beside my dog and behind the puppeteer, and Wind Jounin tell my dog to hide behind the puppeteer. I then make 2 shadow clones, and one hides close to the 3 Chunin for them to not interfere, and one goes to attack the Wind Jounin from behind, but he blocks it with his fan. The fan Jounin then looks at my clone and says, "That was the wrong move, kid." And then I see the sword Jounin coming behind him. Then the sword pointed behind the clone, ready to stab him. As soon as the clone is stabbed, I go behind the sword Jounin and try to kill him immediately. But as soon as I am about to stab him, he puts the katana right where my kunai was going to cut and stops the kunai. I immediately use Shunshin and leave the kunai there. As soon as I appeared where my dog was behind the puppeteer, the kunai I had left behind exploded because of the explosive tag around the handle, and then even though I am disorientated, I use fire-style giant missile jutsu toward the puppeteer, who is surprised and tries to block my jutsu with the round puppet. But the puppet exploded and he got thrown back. Some debris and some Senbon from the puppet stabbed into him, and I think he is knocked out, but I can't afford to check it. My clone also uses fire-style fire missile jutsu on the Chunin. They tried to block it with earth-style earth wall jutsu, but they couldn't and all got burned to death. But I don't have time to be worried about that anymore. I look towards the fan Jounin and sword Jounin's place, with the fan Jounin trying to stop the bleeding of sword Jounin, which has his sword-wielding hand exploded and had some grievous wounds in his back. And I am low on chakra. I cancel my 4-legged technique, and I call my Ninken. He jumps on my back, and we use double-headed wolf, and we transform in a gigant 2-headed wolf. I then again use 4-legged technique, because now it doesn't use just my chakra, but also my Ninken's chakra, and he has the chakra of an average Chunin. And then I run towards the fan Jounin. When he notices us, he takes his fan, and uses a wind-style great breakthrough through the fan as the jutsu is coming towards me. I jump sideways and dodge the jutsu, and then I get close to the fan Jounin and the other Jounin, which is laying on the ground. The fan Jounin tries to block my paw coming towards him, because if he doesn't, I will kill the sword Jounin. But I still push the fan Jounin on the ground and break his rib cage, and he spits out a glob of blood. Just to be sure, I stab my claw through his chest, and repeat this with the sword Jounin and the puppeteer Jounin, who both die. Then I try to sense anyone else around before I cancel the jutsu, and then I surprisingly feel 2 Chunin chakra and go toward them. They were towards the paper tag explosion site. I then see 2 Chunin who were probably the farthest from the explosion. One of them was without an arm and leg, the other was without legs. I then killed them both, and I cancelled the jutsu. Then went to the 3 Jounin, cut their heads off and stab a Senbon in their brain. Just to be sure, I am quite positive the Yamanaka can't read the memories of dead people, but just to be sure. I was super low on chakra. I had about 9% left. I got all the body together, took out my storage scroll, got some alcohol for disinfecting wounds, poured it on their bodies, and did a C-rank ninjutsu to burn any trace of them. To stop anybody from using the Edo Tensei on them. Made sure that there wasn't any body pieces at the explosion site. Of course there wasn't. I really don't want anyone learning I killed my teammate even though I went overboard to take measures against it. Better safe than sorry. I then opened the emergency food scroll and pulled out a cooling bag with a bunch of ice in it. Put the heads in and close it, and put it back on the scroll. I was in need of some money when I go back to Konoha for a plan of mine. I now have 5% of my chakra. I take the sword of the Jounin and put it in my weapons scroll. I then call my Ninkin. He nods. Then he transforms into me, and carries me on his back towards the direction of the camp. Then we stop after we get out of the battlefield zone and jump on trees, and wait for the Chunin which followed assume to return. And I make ready an ambush and put almost all my explosive tags around, leaving only 5 on me. I don't really have the chakra to deal with them, and I am tired. So while waiting I sew my torso wound. I am afraid if I use any more chakra I might pass out. So I wait for them to return. Then I see the 3 Chunin returning. One of them has a horribly crushed arm. They are not really on guard. They walk right into my trap even after they notice the trap and try to jump back. They are caught in the massive explosion and die. I then walk towards the camp. I see the dead body of Isume in the way. She has a kunai at the back of the skull and a crushed hand. Then I remember the other Chunin's horribly smashed arm. I tell my Ninkin to carry her body when he is transformed as me. He does so, and while walking toward the camp, I keep thinking, did Tsunade try to teach the super strength technique to Isume? But she hadn't learned it yet, so she just used it in a desperate situation. I think why would Tsunade teach her that? And then everything clicks into place. Isume reminded her of herself. Her brother wants to be Hokage, pervert teammate that she compared to Jiraiya, and my supposed genius to Orochimaru. Then I see the camp and use a medical jutsu to knock me out and make me look even more exhausted. And I have my dog to carry me to the camp. Even though unlikely if the Yamanaka try to search his memory, he has only been observing my battles, and they can't check mine, because I am wounded and knocked out. After all, they can't check the memories of a comrade without asking. I then open my eyes slowly, and the first thing I see is a female medical ninja is checking on me and says, "Call Sakumo-sama." When I woke up and then as soon as I do so, the medical ninja says, "Woke, please stay down. Hatak-sama will come ask about the details and how you got injured. By the way, your dog refused to leave your side." Then she seemed a little sad and regretful as she said, "Your torso might feel a little numb from the wound. I am sorry, but we couldn't heal it to leave no scar." I looked at my bandaged torso and look around and act like I am confused. So I just ask with a hoarse voice, "Where am I?" The medical ninja softly answered, "You are in the hospital." Then I widen my eyes and act shocked, cover my eyes with my hand and start crying. Damn, this used to be easier when I was younger. I just screamed full of despair as I said, "Damn it, I was too weak. Too weak to even protect those I care about. Why the hell did I even become a ninja if I can't protect those I love? It was not your fault. A child shouldn't take responsibility for the actions of an adult." I then look at who said that and see it was Sakumo. He then looks at the medic nin and tells her to leave. It was our fault we were not able to secure a territory to not let an enemy pass. When you feel ready, you can tell me what happened. And he starts to walk away. I say, "Wait, I am ready right now. I don't want anyone else to die because I didn't say this information." He looks impressed and nods. Then I start talking a story I had made up. After all, I was expecting this question. I tell him a story of how we met the ninja when they had killed and impersonated the merchant. How me and Asutori were planning to hold the ninja back while Asume gets reinforcement, but some ninja followed her stealthy, and we didn't notice. Of how Asutori killed 3 Jounin with a suicide-type jutsu, and I killed 2 Jounin and all the Chunin with my explosive tag from Tsunade, and how a Jounin survived. I fought him to the death and won, but got injured and tired, so I surround my resting place with explosive tags, and how coincidentally, the Chunin ran into my trap. Seeing this, I returning to the camp saw Asume's body and passed out in front of the camp. I then started crying again. He just looks at me sadly and says, "You had good teammates ready to sacrifice themselves for you, and I am sure they are glad they had you as a teammate. They wouldn't want you to be sad, so be happy. They are always watching over you." Wow, this guy is a great motivational speaker. Anyway, I look at him, make a sad smile and say, "I guess so." But with some newfound fate-determined eyes, I say, "I will become a legendary ninja. A ninja so strong that I won't ever lose anyone. That is a promise to myself and them." He looks at me and nods and then gets a serious look in his eyes and says, "The Sand Ninja were probably sent to make traps and kill our scouts to weaken us. We also have news that in a week and 4 days, the Sand Ninja will attack us with Chiyo of the White Troop leading them. But this time we will attack them first in a week's time." I look at him and nod. This time after this battle I am going to ask for a short leave to go to Konoha. I won't ask right now because it would be probably refused. Anyway, I need to train harder this week and need to learn more wind ninjutsu and wind nature transformation. I check my reserves and they are 60% full. I then start using the mystical palm technique to get rid of the numb feeling. Then I look for my things, I find them in a counter close to me, look at my dog. Then he nods at me. That means that they haven't checked my memories. Then I look at my hand, there are no bite scars. I also told my dog to bite me really hard at my arm to leave a scar if they are going to check his memory, and they then erased it. I see nothing in my hand, neither do I feel the numb feeling that comes with healing and using my medical knowledge to see if they tried to ease the feeling. I guess I was too paranoid. They wouldn't really suspect a child to do what I did, and the Yamanaka are more focused on dealing with enemy ninja information. Anyway, I get dressed, and I put Shiro on my head and go towards the Jounin tents to look around trying to find Chaku, the Jounin who taught me ninjutsu. I found him trying to flirt with another female Jounin who he looked like begging her for something and hugging her leg. Hey, come on, marry me please. I plan to start a family when I return to Konoha. The woman just looks at him like he is trash. Then she scolds Chaku. What the hell, Chaku, you have been asking every female Jounin like this for the past months. You already asked me 4 times. Even more tears come out of his eyes, and his snot starts to flow from his nose like a child. Please. The woman Jounin just looks at this with a disgusted look on her face. She gets angry and screamed. I said, stop it, damn it. Then the other Jounin steps on his face and starts kicking him. And then she walks away. This is really embarrassing to even watch. How can a Jounin be so pathetic? Anyway, I get close to him and am about to ask him something, but he interrupts. Ah, Yami, my favorite student. I just looked at him with an emotionless face as I said to him, I am your only student. But he ignores what I said and kept talking. I need you to be with me next time I ask a girl out. Your childish charms may help me. When I heard that, my face scrunched like I just swallowed a lemon. No way am I helping you with that. Anyway, I will give you 1 million Ryu if you teach me all that you know about Kenjutsu. When he helped me against the puppeteer ninja in the war, he used a sword, so I thought he might be skilled at using it. Yes, I will help you, but you don't need to pay me. Do I look like the kind of guy that would take money from a kid? Asked Chaku while trying to act cool and noble. Yes, I answered with an emotionless face. He then squats to the ground depressed, drawing circles on it, and with tears coming out of his eyes. What a mentally unstable Jounin. I think. Time skip dash. 1 week later, I have learned Kenjutsu from Chaku and his clones, teaching my clones. I also did the wind training exercise of cutting a leaf using wind chakra. I did it in 2 days. I have gotten quite skilled at using a sword, but not quite at Chaku's level even with shadow clones. He told me not to worry about it, and that you get way more training and experience by using it on the battlefield. That's where I am going right now. We are going to attack the Suna camp immediately. Even though they might know by now we are attacking them, they might not know. Because in our camp, the others got word today in the morning that we are attacking Suna camp, and only the Jounin knew since a week ago. Emi, who is a Jounin in all but name. I also have the sword Jounin's sword in my back. It was a chakra metal sword that lets you channel chakra easier in it. It is good because I have a short reach because of my age. Even though I feel uncomfortable, I am in front of the formation. As a Jounin strength ninja, it is my duty, but I am sure I can look out for myself now. I then see the Sand Ninja army in the field. Well then, time to go to war and make a name for myself. I see the Suna ninja in a little of a disarray. They probably prepared in a hurry. Then as the rest of the Jounin go forward, I go forward in a slower speed, and then I see a mud dragon coming toward my direction. I then sense some of the rookie Chunin get behind me for me to protect them. I act like I don't notice them, signal my dog to stay a little far away from the main skirmishers, and to be careful of an attack. I have him separate from me in case of an emergency. I can shunch into him. My sense of smell is quite good, and I also can even turn it off with my medical jutsu, not to be like Kiba who got defeated by a fart. Then the mud dragon was getting closer. I just simply did a substitution. After all, it was from the other side of the battlefield. I then see some Suna Chunin in a group working together, and I use fire-style fireball jutsu, and while I'm spewing fire off my mouth, I do the wind-style great breakthrough, and the fire cuts off and is pushed by wind. The Chunin all get burned. Then I look towards the Suna forces and use fire-style dragon flame bomb towards them, and 40 Chunin and Genin get caught off guard and are killed. I then take out my sword and pump my chakra sense to the maximum, and use four-legged technique, and now my senses are at maximum capacity. I jump in the middle of a field of Chunin and start cutting up. I need to make a name for myself for my short leave to be allowed. They don't allow just anybody to take a leave. I then see 4 Chunin in a row and swing my sword towards them. One of them tries to block it with a kunai, but just before they clash I use wind chakra and cut through the kunai and the 4 Chunin. I sense a guy behind me. I sidestep to dodge, and then cut his head off. 2 people are coming towards me from both sides. But then I sense something underground, and I jump. 2 hands come from the ground, pull my knees to my chest, and kick both the ninjas from my sides, and stab the sword in the ground. I feel the wing cutting sound behind me. I tilt sideways to dodge, grab the kunai and throw it at the throat of someone. Then some ninja come towards me with a kunai and swords. As soon as they are in my range, I cut their throat, and then some ninja throw projectiles at me, and I use one of their bodies as a shield, and jump back. A ninja again comes towards me with a puppet. I go past the puppet, grab a paper bomb from my pouch, and stick it on the puppeteer, and kick him towards a group of ninjas, and then he explodes. I grab some explosive kunai from my kunai pouch, spin and throw kunai in 8 directions, and then they explode. I then look at the surrounding carnage. I then look at the ground and see all kind of swords. I grab one in my other hand. Then I have an idea. I put the sword in my mouth, and then grab another sword, and use my right now self-made technique. At least it's against Genin and Chunin, so even if I have a screw up, it won't be fatal. I then use the Wolf Fang technique with my 3 swords, and use 3 sword style. Wolf Fang, I spin around really fast and go towards ninjas and start butchering. In about 10 minutes I had killed about 100 Chunin and Genin. I cancel my technique and look at my swords. They are covered in blood, and throw away the 2 swords I picked up. 5 Jounin notice my killing spree and come towards me. I sense them and look at them. 1 puppeteer, 2 fan and 1 jutsu nin and 1 swordsman, and use wind style. Vacuum bullet, then one of them uses earth style. Earth wall, my jutsu gets blocked, but the wall gets destroyed and some dust blocks their vision. I then make a shadow clone, have him store a bunch of explosive tags under his shirt, and use substitution to get behind them. My clone then makes a panicked face and throws a fireball jutsu at them. They block it again, and one of them says he is panicking and is just wasting his chakra. At this point he is going to run dry. He probably hasn't had a Jounin after him yet. I get behind the puppeteer and put the tip of my sword behind his skull. The other Jounin notice me. I then attack one of the fan Jounin. Immediately he tries to block it with his fan, but as soon as my sword is about to touch the fan, I use wind chakra to cut through the fan and the Jounin. I then immediately jump back and use fire style dragon flame bomb at them, and the ninjutsu Jounin is about to do a mud wall to block it. My clone behind them goes toward the jutsu nin who is about to use the mud wall jutsu with his wing coated sword. The 1 fan Jounin and 1 swordsman nin goes to block him, but as soon as they do, the clone explodes and kills them, and heavily injuring the ninjutsu ninja, and then my jutsu kills him. I was expecting some more to survive. Killing Jounin is getting easier and easier. I think it is because of my planning and fighting experience growing, but also because they always underestimate me. Well, being a kid is so useful. I alone gave the Sand Forces a heavy blow. I have taken 11 Jounin out of their forces, and that is a lot. They used to have a Jounin number advantage, but now they don't. I look towards Tsukumo who is fighting Chiyo and Ichibi Jinchuriki, which has covered both of himself and Chiyo with sand. Tsukumo can't quite get close to them with the sand and puppets. I look at this fight and think I have a plan. What is a better way to get my name out than fighting legends? I have 45% chakra. That shadow clone got me low, but I am sure of my chances in escaping. I saw Tsukumo getting close to the duo in the sand sphere, and cutting through the sand being thrown at him, and some projectiles thrown at him by the 10 puppets which belong to Chiyo. 2 puppets look towards me and come towards me. The 2 touch one of their hands together with the other's hand, and when they separate their hands and are coming towards me. As soon as I see that, I use substitution to appear someplace behind the sand sphere. Even though I couldn't see it from the distance where I was from, I am sure that they had wire between their hands that could cut through thick wood like it is nothing. I remember this from the anime. Then I go towards the sand sphere. The 2 puppets appear in front of me again, and they go in a close distance to me, and one throws a punch at me. I dodge sideways, swing my sword at his joint. The other puppet catches my sword, and I run wind chakra through it, and I cut its fingers and am about to cut the other puppet's hand. He swings the same fist at my stomach, and I block with my edge, and his fist gets cut to his wrist. My sword is stuck. I don't have enough wind chakra control to cut something, probably a strong metal, at the wrist of the puppet, and the other puppet kicks at me. As the kick connects with my left hand, I put a paper tag on its leg, and I get thrown back by it. I left my sword behind. As soon as my feet touch the ground, *VOOM*, I explode the paper tag, and then the 2 puppets come out of the dust unharmed towards me. I then feel something below my feet, and I jump back and use fire style fireball jutsu at the 2 puppets coming towards me. They jump sideways and are still coming towards me. Then the puppet gets out of the earth and comes towards me also, and I use earth style earth wall and use transformation to blend with the side of the wall and take out a kunai, and then 2 come from both sides of the wall and 1 from above. They look around and don't see anyone, and I take that moment to go behind one puppet and cut, not at the puppet, but at the chakra string behind it with my kunai with wind chakra. I throw the kunai in the ground without a paper bomb, because I am running out of those. I only have some left. Then grab the puppet by the hand and use wind style. Great breakthrough to throw it far away. And then I look at the 2 other puppets and use fire style. Fireball jutsu, and while fire is running from my mouth, I use wind style. Great breakthrough and the fire cuts off from my mouth and gets pushed by the wind towards the 2 puppets. I then run towards the puppet I threw, and when I get to it, I take out the weapons scroll to make a shadow clone, and he puts the puppet in. I am keeping watch. I am not letting my guard down against an S-rank ninja. I then look back and see the 2 child puppets going back around to the sand sphere. Then some puppets around the sand sphere, they throw some projectiles against Tsukumo, and while he is blocking them, something gets out of the sand sphere and comes towards me. Tsukumo tries to stop it, but a wave of sand stops him. I look at the figure out of the sand sphere, and I see it as Chiyo. She lands in the ground in front of me, about 30 meters away. She then looks at me and says, "Kid, this is not a place where you are supposed to be." I look at her and analyze the situation and come up with a plan. I give a signal to my clone, who then goes in the direction of my dog. I don't answer her and just immediately rush at her. Her 9 puppets block the way, and they come in close combat to me. I take out 2 kunai, 1 in each hand, and as I get close to them, I am about to swipe at one of them. I sense something behind me and I jump sideways. But then I am again surrounded by 3 puppets. They are about to punch me. I block 2 of them with my 2 kunai, and the other with the soles of my feet. Then they open their mouths and spit out senbon. I have just enough time to position my body to not hit anything vital. But still, I have senbon sticking out of my body, and I think that they are obviously poisoned. I then jump up from the fist of the puppet and do a substitution. Immediately after it, my substitution is skewered by projectiles. Then Chiyo looks at me and says, "Kid, just return the puppet, and I will let you live." I obviously didn't trust her. If I gave her the puppet, she would become stronger, and I am not sure whether she would keep her word, even if I knew her from the anime. This is war, so I absolutely don't trust her. I first take out the senbon out of me. Then I take out from my belt an antidote from Tsunade and inject it. Chiyo looks at me and says, "Kid, that is not a poison from the one Mars produced for the Suna army. It is a special poison made by me with some rare ingredients. In about a minute you will start throwing up your own guts. Give me the puppet, and I will give you the antidote." I look at her and ask, "How about you give me the antidote first, then I give you the puppet?" She seems to think a little at first, and then nods and says, "Okay, kid, but no tricks." She then throws me a vial. I catch it and just open the lid and go on as if about to drink it, but I put chakra in my nose to make my sense of smell even stronger. Then I take a sniff without her noticing, and I cover the vial with my hand, and act as if I have drunk it. I also made it look real with some genjutsu. I already know what was in it from my medical knowledge. Just more anti-pain with paralysis poison, to make me feel like I am getting better. But in reality I am getting paralyzed. I then throw the empty-looking vial covered in genjutsu in the ground, and act more relaxed. Take out an empty useless scroll from my front gown and jacket's pockets, and walk towards her with a kunai in the other hand and say, "Okay, but I don't want any puppets close to me." I then start walking towards her, and the puppets start backing off. I act as if my body is more rigid, but as if I don't notice it, and I smile and say while walking towards her, "You know you are a nice person, even though we are enemies after the war is over. I would like you to meet my grandma. She is super nice also. She just has a cold face on." But I could see in her eyes the complicated feelings she has about me being a kid. Good, let your guard down, old hag. But I still keep a small reminiscent smile on my face. I then am in front of her. I extend my hand toward with the scroll. She also extends her hand, and that is the moment I strike towards her. I swipe at her. That moment she notices something is wrong and jumps back a little and tries to pull the extended hand back. But I am not about to leave with nothing, and channel wind chakra in my kunai, and swipe at her right hand. It goes flying to the ground. She immediately throws kunai at me with the other hand, but I immediately jump back and dodge and immediately do the substitution. The kunai explode. They probably had explosive paper wrapped around their handle. I sense my clone and dog. Then 5 puppets immediately surround my substitution and sprout different weapons and shock projectiles at it, and then they get close to it and hit him with different weapons. I then immediately use Shunshin and appear at the side of my dog, and my clone is there too. This is a little far from the battlefield. I look at them and then say to my clone and dog, make earth walls all around me. Shiro, you keep watch around it and stay hidden and kill anyone who comes close. They nod, and while my clone is doing his job, I take some anti-venom to give me more time against the poison. After my clone does so, I dispel him to get some chakra back, and then make another clone. He knows what to do. I give him the scroll with medical supplies in it. He opens it and summons all the medical supplies in it, and he puts a sleeping bag on the ground. I lie in it. He opens a bottle, and puts the liquid in a bucket. He fills about 10 buckets. With that kind of liquid, there are bottles all around the ground. He brings the 10 buckets close to me. He makes hand signs and then uses chakra scalpel technique on 2 of his fingers, and he starts to make cuts above my heart, stomach, kidneys, and 1 small cut at my intestines. He stabs a senbon on my neck to temporarily stop all feeling from my neck and down. Then he puts the hands on the bucket with liquid and pulls out a blob of liquid and starts putting it inside my body through the cuts. After some seconds, he pulls out the liquid with some brown spots on it. It was the poison. He keeps doing this about 8 times, and 8 buckets are now with used liquids with poison. He pulls out the senbon, and I feel kind of sluggish. He then uses mystical palm to ease it. I get up and pull out the food scroll and summon water bottles and start drinking them. I then dispel the clone, pack my stuff back, and go outside the dome and see my dog fighting a Chunin, and my dog seems to be whining. But I interrupt the fight and get behind the Chunin, and with a swipe of my kunai, I cut his neck and he dies. I also see another body on the ground. He looks to be a genin. He has a chunk of his neck missing. I look at my ninkin and tell him to follow me. I go back to the battlefield and go towards the Battle of Tsukumo and the Ichibi Jinchuriki. While going there, I killed a couple of Sand Chunin and Genin with pure Taijutsu. I don't have the leisure of wasting chakra on them. As I get close to their battle, I signal my dog to go behind the Jinchuriki and stay hidden there. When I arrive there, I also see Chiyo. But she now has a puppet arm, and she is not accustomed enough with it to use chakra strings from the puppet arm. So right now she is only controlling 5 puppets in the fight against Tsukumo. I get in the battle by throwing a kunai with an explosive tag towards her. A puppet comes in front of her and blocks it. She then comes behind the puppet without any harm, and the puppet is also okay, and she tells me, "Kid, you are going to die now. I won't make the same mistake again." Banpuku throws some sand towards the kid, but nobody answers, and she says again, "Banpuku, we are at war. We don't have the luxury to go easy on enemies, especially on the kid." Then Jinchuriki uses sand tsunami. As soon as I feel the massive amount of chakra on the sand around and the Jinchurika's large drop in chakra level, I was ready to retreat immediately. But then it all goes towards Tsukumo, which cuts the tsunami in half. But he still gets pushed far away. Then an old bald man with a long beard comes out of the sand sphere and says, "No matter what, I won't kill a kid, even if the order comes from the Kazuki-age himself." My deal with the Kazuki-age was that I must hold Tsukumo Hatak back, not become a child killer. And I am not a killer like you, Chiyo, I am a monk. Chiyo looks at him and then frowns and says, "How about just capturing him with me? I promise I won't kill him." He seems to think a bit. Then I look at both of them and think I am going to execute the plan, and if it fails I will immediately escape. As the Jinchuriki is thinking, I use substitution and appear in a tree and throw shuriken and kunai. With all the explosion tags I have at them, the Jinchuriki gets out of thinking, and the projectiles are blocked all by sand. But that is the view blocker and noise I needed. And I also noticed something small but significant. He needed to concentrate to use the sand. I use Shunshin and appear beside my dog and behind them, and throw senbon at the Jinchurika's neck. Let's see if my theory is correct, if he does or doesn't have the sand that protects him automatically like Gaara. As the senbon are thrown at his neck, they don't make much wind cutting noise, but that is their specialty. But they are also not lethal if you don't have good aim, and don't know lethal points in the human body. The senbon pierce his neck, and he is knocked out and in a fake death state. Chiyo sees and looks at me with anger, and she is about to get close to the Jinchuriki to get the senbon out of his neck, and I am about to stop her. But then I sense someone with enormous chakra get in front of the Jinchuriki. It was Tsukumo Hatak. Chiyo sees this, backs off and runs away in the back of her puppets. Smart. If she had stayed, she would have gotten killed or captured by Tsukumo. As she is retreating, she gives out a signal for all the sand ninjas to retreat. Tsukumo makes a shadow clone, gives it a paper and then says to me, "I am going to take care of some Suna ninja. Look after the Jinchuriki." He then runs off to probably try to save as much Konoha ninja as he can. He is really dedicated to his comrades. His clone looks at me and with a calm voice says, "You know, kid, you helped me a lot today. We just gave Suna a devastating blow. Not only did we take one of their elite soldiers, Banpaku, but also their tailed beast. I then look at him and act like I feel the same too, and say, "Wote, I am just glad that I could help my comrades." He looks at me with a kind smile and says, "You did more than just help. My battle since after the first battle in the war that I fought against the third Kazakage, and it ended in a stalemate. But Konoha suffered against Ibizo, Chiyo's brother, that killed hundreds of our shinobi. Tsunade held against Chiyo at that time." He then continues, "After that battle, every battle that came after that, the Ichibi Jinchuriki held me back even when I was about to kill him. He would get saved by Chiyo. By the way, I was surprised seeing that old hag with a cut arm. I thought she killed you, but you were able to take her arm off." I then looked at the ground, seemingly distracted, but I was actually in full alert, and had my dog close to me. I then asked, "What is going to happen to the Ichibi and its Jinchuriki?" He seems to think a little and says, "Ichibi will probably be sealed in somebody from Konoha and the Jinchuriki will die. That would change the Naruto plot quite a lot. Well, I will just have to do a small adjustment to my plan. After all, it doesn't really matter in the end. Naruto and Sasuke taking care of Kagaya is only my plan C on how to get rid of her. Well, whatever." In about 20 minutes the battlefield becomes quiet, except for some groaning from the injured and some screams from time to time. During this time, the Jinchuriki got a little riled up with some heavy Ichibi chakra about to wake him up and some sand about to surround him, but the Tsukumo clone just slapped a paper in his forehead, and it calmed down. I look at the paper curiously. The clone sees this and says, "It was made by Mito-sama. If we incapacitate any Jinchuriki, she is the best Fuinjutsu master in Konoha and probably the world." I look at the seal. Well then, I can't wait for the war to finish. I have so much to learn. Then after some time we are returned to Camp Tsukumo's clone carrying the Jinchuriki, and then Tsukumo tried to encourage the others by saying, "Konoha ninja, we have given the Sand Village the heaviest blow they have taken in this war. We have taken their strongest weapon, the one-tailed beast." The Konoha ninja are excited and yelling Tsukumo's name. They are really yelling. How un-ninja-like. Well, whatever, I am about to return to my tent, but I am stopped by Tsukumo, who comes towards me and puts a hand in my shoulder and says, "I am not responsible for the capture of the Ichibi." This young ninja, a true talent of Konoha, didn't want to see his comrades die, and made a reckless, almost suicidal attack on the Jinchuriki, and it worked. His name is Yami Inuzuka, a true hero that saved hundreds of lives today, and thousands that would have followed. The ninja around me grabbed me and threw me in the air. What a bother. I wasn't even risking my life. I had so many ways to escape it wasn't even funny. Anyway, I make a childish smile and act like a child. Then after some time, Tsukumo called me to the meeting tent. Well, then this should be a perfect time to ask for the break. I go inside and see about 20 jounin and Tsukumo, who has a scroll in his hand. He looks at me and with a serious voice he said, "I need you to send this to Konoha and deliver it to the Hokage. It explains the situation here and the last battle situation. I send this every month, and after every battle it is usually sent by Chunin. But this time you with 3 other jounin will send it, because the sand might try to intercept it. You will go tomorrow after you have recuperated." 3 jounin stand up. He throws the scroll at me. I catch it and then ask, "After this mission can I take a small break? I haven't seen my family in a long time." Tsukumo looks at me and nods. "Of course you will get a 1-month break. I don't believe the sand will attack us for a long time, now that they don't have a Jinchuriki." I nod at him and get out of the tent. Tomorrow. I look at my team. 2 of them look like Hyuga with headbands in their foreheads. They are probably branch members, probably to look out, and the last one might be an Uchiha, I am not sure, but he does have black hair and pupil-less black eyes. Okay guys, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Yami Inuzuka. They look at me, and the one who I assumed to be an Uchiha was the first to talk. "My name is Kamiri Uchiha of the Uchiha clan." The Hyuga with the serious face said, "My name is Hime Hyuga." Then the last one had a smile in his face. That was kind of unusual because he was a Hyuga. "Hi hero-san, my name is Taki Hyuga, the most smiley Hyuga ever." He jokes. Even though they don't say it, they seem kind of not sure if I have the experience to lead this expedition, and they are right. I am not very experienced in leading a team of ninja in a journey of different terrain with possible enemies. So I just look at them, smile and say, "Okay then, I have a thing to tell you guys. I am not really experienced in leading a team of ninja, but I want to learn to do so. So, will you give me advice on what I can do better along the way?" They all nod seriously with impressed faces. After all, a genius child asking for help instead of being arrogant or overconfident, but instead is not letting all the praise go to his head is quite surprising. Then we start a journey. Then I tell them, "By the way guys, do you know any bounty outpost?" Then Kamiri Uchiha takes out a scroll from his jounin vest pocket and throws it to me. I open the scroll, and it has the Fire Country map with various points in it and says, "There all the points are bounty outposts. but you have got to look for something that can hide the smell of bodies to specifically pinpoint it. So it is usually a bathroom, meat shop, or an animal farm. You can also turn in bounties at Konoha. I nod at him, and then as we are going on the road and make some small talk, we talk about if the meat shop's bounties outpost also sell meat. The answer of which is yes, because if there is a meat shop who doesn't sell meat is suspicious, and they might even sell meat cheaper, because they don't really care for the minuscule amount of money they make from it in comparison to being the middleman in a bounty hunt. Interestingly, we didn't encounter any sand ninja. They probably couldn't get too deep in Fire Country, because they will get killed or captured. After all, Tsukumo took measures against it since the first time it happened. Anyway, we arrive at Konoha relatively fast in 30 hours. And we made no stops because the message is so important. When we go inside after some checks that we are not transformed and not missing Nin, we are allowed in and go to the Hokage Tower. And with the urgent battlefield report excuse, we went in immediately to the Hokage's office. When we go inside, there is the third Hokage and 2 members of the Konoha Council. At least Danzo isn't here. He probably is doing something immoral and fishy, or trying to eliminate someone that is against the interests of Konoha. Not like I really care, as long as he doesn't do anything against my interests. The Hokage sees us and the 3 Jonin bow immediately, and I bow after I put the scroll in his table. He reads it and says, "I will contact the Kazekage and see if we can come to a mutual agreement. You have done well, ninja. I will put 1 B rank mission in all your records, and 2 S rank, 5 A rank, 3 B rank, and 30 C rank in your record, Johnny Inuzuka. You will be paid 1 million ryo for your mission services." Dismissed. I then walk out of the Hokage office after he has given me a check. In war times, ninja don't get paid much or none at all for missions. They make most of their money from bounties. If this was peacetime, I do some quick math in my head, I would have gotten paid around 5 million ryo at minimum for all those missions. By the way, missions pay like this. E-rank missions pay between 30,000 to 100,000 ryo. E-rank missions pay between 80,000 to 200,000 ryo. A-rank missions pay between 150,000 to 1 million ryo. S-rank missions pay at least 1 million ryo. If the village paid missions like it did in peacetime, it would go bankrupt in no time, because clients are not paying these missions, and it has to come from the village. By the way, it was a dumb decision by the Hokage to want to negotiate with the Kazekage. I already know what will happen, and really, he will probably give back a chibi for a price or deal for ceasefire. But still, to give away a weapon of mass destruction, even though the Achibi is not as strong as the Nine Tails, it gives its Jinchuriki the ability to manipulate sand. That is pretty much an S-rank ninja guaranteed for a lot of generations. He thinks like a pacifist like Hashirama, but he can't just give a weapon like that away. He is not Hashirama. Hashirama did so because he had the kind of power that any beast below the Nine Tails was nothing to him. Anyway, enough about politics. I can finally start my main plan tomorrow. I go to my house and greet my mother. "Hello mother, I am back." She was watering a flower when I did so. When she hears my voice, she drops the watering can and looks at me. She then tears up and comes and hugs me while crying and says, "My baby, my little baby, he is finally back home. I was worried sick about you." I look at her, wipe her tears with my fingers and say, "Don't cry mother, I am here now, am I not?" She nods at me while crying, and we sit on the small porch of a small house, and I tell her some stories, of course. Not me fighting and killing kind of stories, but me learning new jutsu, meeting new people and being taught by Tsunade, talks with Tsukumo, the beauty of the rivers and different biomes. I lead the conversation around and making her almost forget I was in a battlefield killing and massacring, making her think that it might not be so bad as the gossips say. While I'm talking, I look at her and think sinisterly how she would react if I told her I took over her baby's body while he was still in the womb. She would try to kill me, get my mind read, and even torture me. That is why I will never care about her, because if she knew the truth, she would hate me with all her heart. That is the best scenario possible. And in the worst scenario, well, never underestimate humanity's potential for evil and cruelty. Well, it's not like I am ever going to tell anybody about my deepest secret. I am taking it to the Grano, my eternal life. Tomorrow is the first step of my plan. Time skip dash. Tomorrow, I wake up, go to the bathroom and take a shower. Hadn't had one of these in a long time. I then look at myself in the mirror. I have short, dark, slightly spiky hair, an oval face with dark pupil-less eyes, and 2 red upside-down triangles on my cheeks. These are my Inuzuka tattoos. They are not permanent, and I can easily get rid of them. I used to have brown hair, but as I got older, it got darker and darker until it became black. Anyway, I wear my ambu pants, my sandals, and my green hoodie, and put Shiro in my hood. Then I go to the kitchen and see my mother making breakfast for me. Well, that is good. In the war, I mostly ate ration bars which tasted like cardboard. When I got bored with them, I ate something from my emergency food scroll, Not a lot, just enough to at least get my taste buds working. We usually didn't hunt because the meat of the animal could have been poisoned, or it has a paper tag in it, and as soon as you got close it would explode, and it could be an ambush, etc. Ninjas give a new meaning to dirty war. Anyway, I go to the table, eat breakfast and make some small talk with Miss Yoon, my mother. After that, I ask her if she knows if the clan head is around. She says yes. I then tell her I am going to go for a walk as I haven't been in Konoha in a long time, but I just walk towards the clan head's house. As I am walking, I think in my progress these last few months, my physical stats haven't grown, my chakra reserves only grew a little, and my chakra control grew to be able to use mystical palm properly. The thing I got from this war was experience, and my ninjutsu amount has grown by a lot, and my sensory abilities have skyrocketed. I can now sense up to 50 meters, 164 without concentration, and 100 meters, 328 when I concentrate. It's astounding. I got way more progress in 4 months than in all my life, but to be honest, I really wasn't training it, and only used it to feel people's chakra levels. In the war it was always at maximum alert and always on full concentration. As I am thinking this, I go to the clan head's house. He is a jounin, the only jounin in our clan. The other members most are chunin and some special jounin specialized in tracking. Also, our clan only has about 70 people, and 50 or more of them are civilians. We are not like the Uchiha who have around 300 members, and about 100 of them are ninjas. They also have a lot of jounin in their numbers. It is the clan with the most jounin, but they have to be a lot to be in the war and in the police force, and to have confidence to pull a coup d'etat against the entire village. There it is also shown the genius of Itachi Uchiha even if he had help from Obito, to be able to kill all the clansmen even though probably most of them were silent assassinations. It shows his talent and willpower to kill family, and he did it all silently, no one knowing what he had done until later. But that might have also been influenced by Root. If I went to kill the Inuzuka clan right now I could do it silently with poison and stuff, but comparing Inuzuka with Uchiha is like comparing an elephant with an ant. The other clans that have more members than us, there is the Hyuga around 100 members. But if I am not mistaken, they will be cut down heavily during and after the Third Shinobi War. Sarutobi clan members around 70 to 80, not many members, but most of them are ninja or retired around 50 ninja. I believe they also got a lot of benefits from being the clan of the Hokage, and one of the first to join Konoha. They also have a very strong loyalty to Konoha, and as some people say it, they have the will of fire. Then the other clans like Hatake clan, more like Hatake family, Shimura like Hatake. Also Ino Shikacho alliance is quite good, and has a lot of influence, especially because Akamichi food pills, Yamanaka mind reading, which gives invaluable information, and Nara intelligence and medicine. Also, the Aburam clan around 80 members. Most are ninja except the ones who married in the clan. The clan is also a superior in tracking because of their techniques, like the female insect can be left on a target, which then can be tracked by smell by the male insect, or scout insects can be sent out and return to tell the host information about the area. For this reason, Aburam clan members are experts in espionage. They can communicate with the insects, and the insects specialize in stealth, because they make no noise or motion during combat. And on top of it, the clan is a noble clan in Konoha, one of the 4 in it together with Akamichi, Hyuga and Uchiha. There are also some clans that aren't even worth mentioning because of their small numbers, and also their non-big name Shinobi. So yeah, our clan is really trashy. But then there is also the Senju clan. It was the greatest clan in Konoha on its glory days. But now I can count its members in one hand, and by the time canon comes with one finger. There were a lot of Senju deaths on the first war, and a lot of assassinations on them as soon as Hashirama died. They didn't want the power of a man who was able to capture the tail beast to be passed on. After all, what Hashirama did was shocking at the time, so the Uchiha were overlooked. Even though Madara fought Hashirama, Madara had the 9 tails, and he still lost, so the Senju were primary targets during any mission. Anyway, I now am in front of clan leader's house, a big house with a big yard. I go through the gate inside without knocking and go to the front door and say, I am coming in. I then go towards the chakras that I am sensing, 1 jounin and 3 haichunin, and go towards an open area, looks like a sparring dojo-like area. And there is the clan head surrounded by 3 big wolves, which probably are his ninken. He seems to be relaxing on top of them and reading a book. When I arrive there, the 3 ninken open their eyes and look at me, but I simply ignore them and look directly at the clan head and say, I am here to become the new clan head. And I immediately start concentrating chakra in my throat after that and start to prepare something. His body jolts, he drops the book down and looks at me, gets up, and the wolves get up and start growling at me. The clan head looks at me and looks angry and starts growling and says, "You are quite arrogant little brat. You think that you can just barge in and say things like that. I guess I will have to teach a lesson to a pup who became arrogant just because he made a name for himself." Well, the Inuzuka clan are a bit more primal than the other clans, and a clan member can take the clan head position by challenging him. If anyone has a problem, they have to just sort it through violence, though killings are not allowed. That is how the current clan head took his title. He even took the previous one's daughter. Truly a clan of savages and unintelligent people. As he looks ready to pounce at me, but as he is about to do so, I release the technique in my throat, and it comes out as a loud growl of a beast. Demonic illusion, dog binding, and as soon as that happens, the clan head's eyes become unfocused, and he stays in his place. Even the dogs seem out of it. I then just appear behind him and kick the back of his knee to get him in my level, and take a kunai and point it at his artery and draw a little bit of blood from it. He then uses kai and gets out of it. But when he sees his current position, he gets nervous. I even put out some killing intent and amplified it with a small genjutsu to make it more sinister. He won't notice in the panic. He was really easy to beat, probably because he is more of a tracker. Plus he was probably focused in only learning the Inuzuka techniques, and didn't think he needed any other, and took pride in his talent and clan. And I charged my genjutsu, which wouldn't be possible in a battlefield. By the way, my genjutsu is transmitted by the sound of my growl. I release him from my hold and just say to him. He falls to his knees and is gasping for air like he saw a monster or something. Time to get to business. After all, even though the Inuzuka clan is a middle low-class clan in Konoha, I am still going to use their resources and founding to start the next stage of the main plan. I then look at the book he put down, and it is a bingo book. It looks pretty new, so he probably got the updated one recently. My curiosity got the better of me, and I took the book casually and skipped all the pages of it, and finally came to a stop, and I see a child with red markings and black pupil-less eyes. It's me. I then look at my nickname and bounty. Yami Inuzuka, code name, Red Fang, age, 8 bounty, 13 million, Ryo rank, E-class ninja, proficient in Taijutsu, has large amount of chakra for his age, and his strong point is ninjutsu. Be aware the ninja is a scheming type ninja who uses his young age to do sneak attacks and misdirection. He usually strikes when the enemy thinks they have got him, best known for taking out a Chibi Jinchuriki. Wanted in by Wing Country for his part in the capture of the Jinchuriki and multiple kill counts of Sand Ninja. The page was filled with information about me. After the first few lines, it was all useless information of how I was in Inuzuka, when I entered the academy, etc. The bingo books require information to fill a page. It usually puts your most noteworthy actions in there, but I don't have that many, so they just put my academy graduation age, my usual clothing, etc. If you really want more information, you got to go find an info broker. By the way, the nickname is truly unoriginal, Red Fang. It kind of makes sense, Inuzuka and all, but they probably did it because I fought beside Tsukumo the White Fang. Well, anyway, I could still get a new nickname from another country, like Kakashi did copy Ninja Kakashi and Kakashi of the Sharingan. By the way, the bounties are not put up by the village, but by the country. Anyway, I look at the clan head now. He is standing, and I then ask, how much money is in the clan bank account? He looks at me unsure, and I just immediately realize my killing intent. And then he stands more straight as he says, there are 53 million Ryo in the clan account. It is all the clan head's savings, plus the 10% we take from every Inuzuka individual's mission. I nod at him. It's true, every mission you do, 10% is taken by the village from the payer, and 10% from the clan if you are in any. The clan budget is of course for maintaining the clan stables, roads, etc. The clan takes 10% of the profit also if you have an establishment like a restaurant, clinic, etc. I then tell him, okay then, where is your office where you keep all your paperwork? The clan head tells me the directions and I make a clone, and it nods at me and goes away. I then look at the clan head without saying nothing. He starts getting nervous and then looks uncertain and finally asks, are you going to take my daughter as your wife? If you are, I guarantee you your children will be strong, especially with the Inuzuka secret breeding technique. That was how Tsum was conceived. I just narrow my eyes, signal my dog to get down from my hoodie and do something, and I then say, the best your daughter can be is a concubine of mine. After all, if I am going to marry someone, it's going to be a political marriage, not some weakling's daughter. He looks angry and just grinds his teeth together and immediately uses four-legged technique. His brown long spiky hair stand up, his claws lengthen, and his fangs become more defined. I just look at him and simply use Shunshin and appear beside my dog and behind him. I also use four-legged technique, and just simply jump up, catch the back of his head with my hand, and smash it down on the floor, and the floor cracks. He is unconscious, and I cancel my technique, and I then use medical ninjutsu to wake him up. He wakes up and looks around confused. I then calmly say to him, "Did you see now? You lost without even knowing how. If this was a real battle, you would have been dead." He looks afraid and unsure of something. Well, then I need to get rid of him fast and silently, or he will become a thorn in my side. After all, a pack doesn't need two leaders. I keep acting like the definition of an alpha of the pack, and he still is unsure about something. Well, anyway, I then tell him, "Show me the way to the clan head's library." He nods fearfully. Just then, the clone comes in with a one-finger-thick stack of papers. I take it and put it under my hoodie to check later the status of the clan, and how to make it better. Then the clone dispels. Then I tell the previous clan head to lead me to the clan head's library immediately. He does so, and as we are walking, I think he has gotten really submissive all of a sudden. Probably when he saw our difference in strength. He probably thinks of me as a monster or something, but who cares? I will get rid of him silently in the coming days, and make up a story about it. Anyway, as I go into the library, I see only a shelf in a small room. I go inside, and then I made my decision known. From now on, I will be living in this house. The clan head looks shocked at this. What? No, you can't do that. Where will me and my daughter live? I just wave him off. I don't truly care, but since I am merciful, you can stay here with your daughter. I am not cruel to do like what you did to the clan head before you, because I am way crueler. I then look at him and ask, "By the way, what's your name?" He looks perplexed and then says, "You didn't know your clan head's name. My name is Akira. By the way." I just shrug my shoulders. I never really cared about it. Anyway, Akira spent 25 million ryo from the clan's money in building me a medical lab in the dojo thing. I then take out a paper and write everything that I need on it. If you need more, take it from the clan's money. By the way, if I see you are stealing money from me, I again use demonic illusion, dog binding, and he is in the genjutsu again. This time he gets out of it in 5 seconds. While he was in that, I used some useless genjutsu I learned in the academy to make my eyes shine red, and then I coldly say, "I will kill you." His face grew pale, and his body trembled, but I spoke calmly, "Anyway, for the things I need to buy, you could send someone to take care of it." Then, my curiosity arose. "By the way, where is your daughter?" Akira appeared uneasy as he responded, "Well, she is currently honing her skills at the Inuzuka training ground." I regarded him with indifference, saying, "Alright then, I'll bring my belongings into this house." I created a clone and instructed it to handle the task. Now, it was time for some manipulation. I smiled subtly and continued, "You know what? Keep it a secret that I am now the clan leader." Akira frowned slightly, questioning my motive. I locked eyes with him, narrowing my gaze. "Do you understand why I don't seek the glory of being the youngest clan head, despite defeating one of the village's strongest individuals?" Confusion mixed with flattery spread across his face. What a fool. I planted the idea in his mind, stating, "When I bested you, it wasn't to usurp your position, it was to prove my capability. But imagine the consequences if other clans were to find out." He grew increasingly perplexed. Such a dim-witted individual. They would tear us apart, pitting us against each other. We must keep this knowledge hidden. Together, you and I can elevate our clan to unparalleled heights. No dream is too grand when we unite, with you as the beacon of light and me as the shadow. We shall etch our names in history. A sense of pride and anticipation filled his expression, eager for the future. Finally, I sealed my scheme with a persuasive tone. "Simply refer to me as your successor if anyone inquires about me. And remember, above all else, we are family. Regardless of history's erasure or society's scorn, only family remains steadfastly loyal." He nodded, unaware of his own gullibility. Manipulating him had been effortless. He might not grasp it yet, but he already views me as his leader. By using force to establish dominance, followed by flattery and false promises to instill importance, I convince him that we would remain a formidable family even after our objectives were achieved. As my clone returns, fulfilling its task, I dispel it and absorb the memories it carries. I recall the moment I shared with my mother, informing her that the clan head had chosen me as his successor. Her elation was evident as she urged me to visit her often. Spreading this rumor far and wide is crucial. I must establish myself as the rightful heir once Akira's time has passed. Making my way to his office, I effortlessly shattered the flimsy wall connecting it to the next room with a single punch, creating a passage. Addressing Akira, I assert, "I will take the room adjacent to the office. Bring a bed in there, and either I or one of my clones shall oversee the management of the clan. However, it goes without saying that you must refrain from speaking ill of me to anyone, as they will undoubtedly exploit it. Not even your daughter should be privy to such discussions." Akira simply nods, assuring me, "Don't worry, I will serve as an exemplary figurehead for the clan." He appears content, reveling in the prospect of being spared from paperwork and receiving recognition without effort. Claiming the office chair as my own, I caution him. Furthermore, exercise caution with everyone. Trust no one. Regard all individuals as potential adversaries and contemplate every possible outcome. Consider every angle, never revealing weakness to anyone. His gulp of apprehension betrays his anxiety as he dutifully responds, "Of course, I understand. My intention wasn't solely to warn him. It was to instill paranoia and erode trust in others. I want him to perceive those around him as enemies." Sometimes, I ponder how I might have fared in the Game of Thrones universe. However, in that realm, I would have had to wield subtler influence, surrounded by master schemers. Additionally, I would have needed to maintain the relationships I cultivated. Fortunately, here as a ninja, our prowess in the art of assassination surpasses that of political intrigue. Akira departs to fulfill the prearranged orders. With a bed now placed in my room, I sit comfortably in my office, papers strewn across the table. Alongside them, clan secret technique books captivate my attention, shared among my clones for simultaneous study. My respect for the Inuzuka clan has plummeted into negative territory. What is the purpose of these futile techniques? Only two appear somewhat practical, such as the Inuzuka secret breeding forbidden technique, where partners conceive offspring in their wolf forms, resulting in children with heightened instincts, and a superior affinity for Inuzuka techniques. However, a drawback persists, as the mother has a 70% chance of perishing during childbirth, just as Tsume was conceived. Another technique, the fast-growing Ninkin technique, aids in rapid growth and increased size of one's Ninkin, yet it drastically shortens its lifespan. Suddenly, I sense the arrival of someone within the territory, possessing chakra akin to that of an academy-level shinobi. As the front door swings open, the familiar voice calls out, "Father, I'm home." Intrigued, I rise from my seat and venture into the hallway, where I encounter her. With her naturally slitted eyes and untamed hair, she emanates a feral aura resembling her future self, only in miniature form. This, too, might be an unintended consequence of the technique designed to enhance one's wild appearance. With a warm smile, I greet her. "Hey there, you must be Tsume." Her instinctive wariness impresses me. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" I maintain a friendly demeanor as I respond. "Hey, no need to be on guard. I am your father's disciple." Playfully, I make a childish face and whisper from a distance, as if sharing a secret. I might even be his successor. Tsume's immediate reaction is anger. "What? No way, his successor is me." Seizing the opportunity, I pull out the bingo book from my hoodie pocket and open it, pointing at my picture. She exclaims, "No way, you're in the bingo book, and you're so young." Her thoughts seem to wander, perhaps considering the possibility of her father arranging a marriage between us. How naive. Marrying her holds no benefits, and there are far more enticing prospects in this world. As she relaxes, Tsume proceeds to inquire about my name, age, hobbies, and dreams. Naturally, I respond with answers that cater to her interests, speaking of dreams involving a devoted and strong Inuzuka wife, envisioning a large, loyal family. After some time, Akira enters the room, and I address him as Akira-sensei, leaving him perplexed as to the sudden shift in my demeanor. His gaze shifts to Tsume, prompting a recollection of the reason behind my show of respect. He stammers, "Yeah, why yeah. I finished it." His lack of improvisation skills is surprising for a Junin. I press further, questioning the time frame. "Really, sensei? How long will it take?" Now accustomed to my childlike behavior, he replies more confidently, "Well, for everything, it'll take about a week for the installation and refurbishment." A faint smile tugs at my lips as I respond, "Okay. I hope it's worth the cost." His confusion resurfaces, but upon mimicking a circular gesture with my thumb and forefinger, he comprehends the hidden meaning. He reassures me, yeah, it was within the budget. I even hired a team of professionals to expedite the process, which is why it'll be done in a week." Tsume's confusion remains evident. Now, it's time to focus on training. I assign the paperwork to one of my shadow clones. But before delving into my regimen, I address Tsume. "You have to become strong to catch up to me, little girl." Tsume pouts, retorting, "You're young too, only 8 years old, while I'm 6. Just wait, I will definitely surpass you." I smile without a hint of competition, knowing that a good rapport with her is essential for the future. Preparing for intense training with my shadow clones, time skips ahead. 1 week. This week has been eventful. My medical lab is now fully furnished and ready for use. Each day, I assigned one of the clones to handle the clan's paperwork. I've also learned that the majority of civilian Inuzuka individuals are involved in various dog-related professions, such as caretakers, handlers, trainers, and even dog food producers. Roughly 85% of them pursue such occupations, while the remaining 15% engage in conventional roles like clerks or waiters. During this week, I've been subtly administering a heart-weakening poison to the clan head. It is odorless, evading detection by his dogs. Although the poison acts slowly, it disguises itself as a medicinal drug used to treat dangerous illnesses. I've skillfully blended it with other ingredients to enhance its potency. 2 of my clones have been studying new technological advancements, while the other 3 delve into the intricacies of Chiyo's puppet that I possess. Time skip 1 week. During this week, my clones continue their training, and I've taken the initiative to establish a dogfight arena within the Inuzuka clan. The purpose is to offer civilians a form of entertainment and a temporary distraction from the ongoing war. However, the fights are purely theatrical, akin to wrestling, ensuring the safety of our beloved canines. We do not wish to burden ourselves with exorbitant medical expenses. Simultaneously, I've kept a vigilant eye on news from the Rain Village, seeking precise alignment with my meticulous plan. The clan head has been experiencing minor pains in his left side, dismissing them as insignificant. With the installation of technology complete, accompanied by newfound knowledge of its intricate workings, I'm intrigued by the peculiarities of this world. Clones prove to be highly convenient, although occasionally I experience minor headaches when dismissing those carrying extensive information and insignificant price to pay for temporary memory overload. Following the technology endeavors, I delved into Genjutsu training to expand my expertise. Now equipped with Chunin level access to the Jutsu library, I've acquired knowledge of C rank and D rank Genjutsu. One particular technique that piqued my interest is the paralysis jutsu employed by Orochimaru on Sasuke during the Chunin exams, and later used by Itachi on Orochimaru. By adding my unique twist to this C rank Genjutsu, much like Itachi did with the stakes that immobilized his target, it has the potential to escalate to A rank. I incorporated the use of dogs to elevate it to a B rank Genjutsu, effectively upgrading my dog binding jutsu. I've strived to make Genjutsu a valuable asset in battle, despite not possessing the Sharingan. Time skip 1 week. As time passes, the clan head's heart pains worsen, yet he refrains from confiding in anyone, including me. He merely intensifies his training, believing that his lack of recent dedication may be the cause. Regardless of the true origin, he hopes the discomfort will subside. Dark circles now mar his eyes, but when questioned, he dismisses them as inconsequential. Prior to divulging his ailments to others, I administer painkillers mixed into his food, granting temporary relief, and provide sleeping medicine during dinner to ensure rest. This intervention brings him a brief respite. It's crucial to prevent him from discussing his condition with anyone. Time skip 1 week. Now, I have both good and bad news to share. Let us begin with the good news. The newly named Sannin, after their encounter with Hanzo the Salamander, achieved a draw, an outcome manipulated by Konoha's propaganda. In truth, Hanzo allowed them to escape unscathed. The Sannin have embraced teamwork and actively undertake numerous S-rank missions, bolstering the morale of Konoha's residents. While most details remain confidential, completed missions are selectively publicized to maintain high spirits. Additionally, I've studied the fundamental principles of Fuinjutsu, deciphering the meanings behind various seals. However, even with a week of study, my attempts at crafting a proficient explosive tag prove fruitless. I can merely produce a firework explosive tag suitable for playful pranks with an E-rank seal. And now, for the bad news. The clan head, Akira, has passed away peacefully in his bed, with his daughter present at the time. The memory of that day remains etched in my mind. Flashback the day of Akira's passing. Akira's perspective, clan head. How? I can't move, damn it. I thought I was improving. Suddenly, my daughter rushes into the room upon realizing I haven't joined them for breakfast. Witnessing my agony as I clutch my chest, paralyzed by pain, she panics and instinctively calls out, "Yami, Yami, come here. Father isn't feeling well." I hear her pleading, "Okay, come with me. Perhaps you can help." Feeling a strange mixture of relief and pain, I silently express gratitude that Yami, the student of a renowned medical kunoichi and the granddaughter of the first Hokage, prefers to remain in the shadows. If word got out that I had been defeated by a child, I would be seen as weak. Initially, I held reservations about him, but he has proven to be a true family member. The onset of these pains coincided with Yami's arrival, and suddenly everything falls into place. Unbelievable. Yami did he? That dishonorable scum. I must calm down. Perhaps it was someone else. Just then, my daughter enters the room, and as I look at her and then at Yami standing behind her, my gaze locks with his eyes, and I instinctively know the truth. Despite the worried expression on his face, his eyes betray a coldness that sends shivers down my spine. I don't even acknowledge my daughter and struggle to speak. Tears stream down Tsume's face as she responds, "Yes, father, what is it?" Yami catches onto my intentions, and overwhelming despair envelops me. Even as his mask slips away, revealing a chilling countenance, all I can think is, how unlucky I am to encounter such a terrifying monster. Aware that he would kill my daughter if I reveal the truth, I sense it in my bones. I muster the strength to utter, "Be safe, Tsume." MC POV. After confirming his demise and ensuring he was truly dead, I take an extra precaution and pierce a senbon into his mouth, down his throat, and into his brain. Now, there is no doubt of his demise. I also ensure there are no hidden messages or secrets left behind. Tsume, still crying beside her father, accompanies me as I transport his body to the hospital's emergency ward. Although one would expect questions about his death, I am prepared with fabricated answers. An hour later, news of the Sannin's formation breaks, conveniently diverting attention from Akira's passing. I had strategically planned for their emergence to coincide with his death, only a day or two apart. but to have them announced on the same day is truly fortuitous. The focus now lies on the Sannin, and the Inuzuka clan is preparing for the funeral on the same day. Ready to report to the Hokage's office with Tsume by my side, we are halted by a Junin-ranked individual stationed at the entrance. He informs us, apologies, but the Hokage is currently in a crucial meeting. I respond, I understand, but the Hokage must be informed of this. A clan head has passed away. His eyes widen, and he realizes, judging from your facial markings, it must be the Inuzuka clan. My condolences. However, I'm afraid I cannot allow you to proceed. The meeting holds utmost importance. Just as Tsume is about to voice her frustration, I swiftly cover her mouth and calmly state, I apologize for her behavior. She has had a difficult day, and I understand your predicament. Good day to you. Despite her initial resistance, I guide Tsume away from the Hokage's tower. Once outside, I release my hold on her mouth, and she immediately expresses anger. How dare they treat one of the strongest clans in Konoha like that? Why did you stop me? Here comes the foolish Inuzuka pride and delusion. It's time to manipulate the situation. I had no choice but to intervene. Your actions would have landed our clan in trouble. Don't you realize that the village does not hold our clan in high regard? They would not let your behavior go unpunished. Tsume responds with conviction, what are you talking about? Our clan is one of the strongest in Konoha. I sigh, exasperated. You need to let go of your pride. In reality, we are one of the weakest clans in Konoha, at best ranking in the middle of the power spectrum. Tsume stomps her foot angrily and engages in a heated argument with me. Shut up. What do you, an Inuzuka civilian, know about the Inuzuka clan? I retort, frustrated by her dismissive tone. Tell me, which clan weaker than ours exists? We only have a handful of special Junin skilled in tracking, and the rest of our ninjas are Chunin or lower. Your father and I were working to rectify this situation. Calmly, I explain the reality to her. Tsume ponders my words, her expression shifting to sadness. With the clan head's funeral approaching, the fact that the Hokage cannot attend becomes another advantage for me in convincing the clan to support my leadership. Despite their frequent internal conflicts, the Inuzuka unite and lend each other support when faced with external interference or a common enemy. Just like a wolf pack, I will exploit their pride, foster trust, and gain their loyalty. However, I must exercise caution not to push them too far, lest the Inuzuka suffers a fate similar to the Uchiha clan in the canon. Although it may not happen immediately due to the ongoing war, the risk remains. I decide, let us proceed to the funeral. We must pay our respects to the clan head, and do not worry about anything. I will take care of the Inuzuka clan. With a determined expression, I lead the way to the Inuzuka clan compound, and together with Tsume, we make our way to the gathering place, heading towards the gravestones of the previous Inuzuka clan heads, with a fresh plot awaiting its occupant. I personally pay 1 million ryo from my own resources to ensure a special and beautiful grave, as each Inuzuka clan head deserves an expensive resting place. As the body is lowered into the ground, we observe a moment of silence. Tsume tries to remain strong, but tears stream down her face as she tightly holds my hand. I keep my head bowed, offering no visible reaction. Observing the grieving crowd, filled with despair due to the loss of their only Junin and sorrow because they admired him as a clan head, I find myself uncertain of my own emotions. A buried feeling resurfaces, threatening to overwhelm me. However, when I look at the grave, I reaffirm my determination. I refuse to abandon my dream due to sentimental notions. I will do whatever it takes to succeed, meticulously following my plan. For every life I take, I comprehend that I am snuffing out the hopes of sons, brothers, fathers, uncles, daughters, mothers, and more. I understand it all too well, but I will not allow that to impede my dream. I care not for the fate of these people, these killers, these barbarians, not even the innocent ones. The pursuit of one's dream often involves stepping upon the dreams of others. The greater the dream, the more steps one must take. There are no free meals in this world. Others will try to drag you down, viewing you as a stepping stone. After the funeral concludes, I return home, accompanied by Tsume. Only the Inuzuka clan attended the funeral, with no presence from other clans. What a truly strong clan we are. Sarcasm. Flashback end. Following the funeral, several clans came to offer their condolences. The Nara, Akimichi, Yamanaka, and Aburam clans paid their respects. Additionally, an Anbu operative arrived to convey the Hokage's condolences, and inform me of a meeting scheduled at the Konoha gates tomorrow for negotiations with the Sand. This request originated from the Sand village. Today, I spent a considerable amount of money purchasing ninja tools. Before departing, I instructed the clan to wait for me to determine the new clan head. They agreed after I revealed the nature of my mission. I then delivered a motivational or cryptic speech depending on the interpretation. My words were, The lone wolf dies, while the pack survives. This statement would undoubtedly make them anticipate my return, as it carried a hidden message. Some widened their eyes, believing they understood the intended meaning. However, whatever they thought they comprehended was likely incorrect. My true intention was for them to await my return before initiating the election. I have no desire to manipulate another Inuzuka clan head, as it is a time-consuming process. Time skip tomorrow. The next morning, I find myself standing before the gates. The Hokage arrives, donning his combat attire, with 5 Ambu guards surrounding him. I sense an additional 5 Ambu operatives positioned in the nearby trees. As the Sand Village remains our enemy, I have a few ideas regarding the Sand's purpose in summoning me. Nevertheless, I am prepared for any situation. Even if Konoha intended to hand me over to the Sand, I possess numerous means of escape should anything seem suspicious. However, it is highly unlikely for Konoha to take such actions due to various reasons. 1. Konoha values its ninjas and does not give them up easily. 2. I am Tsunade's student, which grants me a certain level of protection. 3. Being a clan member further solidifies my position. 4. My reputation precedes me, making it difficult for Konoha to betray me without consequences. 5. Any attempt to sell me to the Sand would undoubtedly dampen morale within the village. While it is important to be prepared, the likelihood of such a scenario is minimal. Moving on, as we make our way towards the Land of Rivers, about 10 minutes into the journey, Hiruzen offers his condolences for the clan head's death, expressing regret for not being able to attend the funeral. I lower my gaze, feigning sadness, and respond, "There is no need to worry. Hokage-sama, you had pressing matters to attend to, such as the Sannin situation and the peace talks with the Sand Village." The Hokage breathes a sigh of relief, looking at me curiously. "Thank you for understanding. By the way, could you provide details about the cause of the clan head's death?" I glance around, noticing the Ambu operatives nearby, including the one with the cocoon of paper containing the Achibi Jinchuriki. Adopting a sorrowful expression, I reply, "It was an internal illness that he kept secret from everyone except me. He trained me to be his successor because he wanted me to find a cure for his disease. He even built a laboratory in his house to aid me in my research. As I attempted to develop a treatment, his condition worsened and the pain became unbearable. Eventually, I suggested that he seek treatment at a hospital. I speak with deep sadness and helplessness, allowing a few tears to fall from my eyes. But he refused to listen, and his condition deteriorated until he passed away. I wipe away the tears, turning to the Hokage and apologizing. "I apologize for my behavior, Hokage-sama. I present myself as a child trying to appear tough by suppressing my emotions. Who would suspect an 8-year-old child, let alone a doctor, of assassinating someone? Who would build a laboratory for someone they suspected of harboring ill intentions?" Hiruzen gazes at me with a softness in his eyes. "Do not worry, Yami. It is natural to cry when someone close to you passes away. I understand that this war has made many children mature beyond their years. But let me tell you something. Konoha was never meant to be a place where children die or suffer. It is an ideal that Hashirama-sensei envisioned, a utopia where he and those like him could protect those dear to them." Hiruzen's words carry an inspiring tone, capable of captivating an ordinary child's imagination. However, I maintain a calm demeanor, nodding in acknowledgement. As we continue walking for a while, I decide to express my gratitude. "Thank you for your advice and wisdom, Hokage-sama." A small smile graces Hiruzen's face, accompanied by a hint of melancholy in his voice. "It is the least I can do, considering all you have been through. Akira-san must have passed away with peace of mind, knowing that you would look after his family. If only you knew the truth. If only you knew." I lower my gaze, seemingly lost in thought, using the action to prevent the Hokage from scrutinizing my facial expressions. With my face down, I portray a sense of sadness. "I truly hope so. I hope he is watching over the Inuzuka clan. But expecting a child to carry such a burden without supervision is unrealistic, isn't it?" Hiruzen's expression turns somber as he absorbs my words. "He was proud of you, Yami. Because of you, we may have a chance to end the war with the Sand, allowing us to focus on other nations." He tries to uplift my spirits. I gaze at him with hope, responding, "I sincerely hope so. I hope this war comes to an end soon. It has taken so much from me." Well, that statement holds some truth, at least. Let's see if Hiruzen detects any inconsistencies in my expression. After all, I must continue improving my acting skills. Hiruzen maintains his previous look, responding, "I was acquainted with your teammates Asutori and Assume. Asutori aspired to become Hokage, and Assume supported him wholeheartedly. He would often find himself in trouble, engaging in pranks that Assume would scold him for. The tactic seems to have worked. We continued our journey, eventually stopping for the night near Fire Lake in the Fire Country. Anbu members took turns keeping watch, but I remained vigilant, instructing my dog to stay out of the potential battle. I created a shadow clone to keep watch over my tent as I settled down to sleep. Suddenly, my clone touched my shoulder, jolting me awake. Instantly, my senses heightened, and I detected the presence of 19 Jounin chakra signatures surrounding our camp. We were completely surrounded. Signaling my dog to remain calm and dispelling my clone, I stepped outside to witness a barrage of projectiles being hurled towards us, some even equipped with explosive tags. Acting swiftly, the Hokage stepped forward and utilized the Earth-style Earth Dome Jutsu, encasing our camp in a protective dome of Earth. Explosions reverberated around us as the Jutsu was triggered. Hiruzen then dispelled the Jutsu, revealing the Sand Ninja, who had been impersonating Konoha Jounin. With a nonchalant expression, the Hokage remarked, "You're quite terrible at disguising yourselves as Sand Ninja, considering you're Jounin from the village hidden in the rocks." A few of them widened their eyes in surprise. 10 of the enemy ninja positioned themselves in the rear, initiating a series of hand signs, while 8 others unleashed the Earth-style Great Mud River Jutsu. Simultaneously, one of them employed Fire-style ninjutsu to ignite the Earth River, creating a wave of flames headed toward us. Unfazed, the Hokage instructed the Anbu and me, "Stay close to me and do not fight to the death. I will handle them without any casualties." We positioned ourselves around him as he activated the Earth-style Mobile Core Jutsu, creating a platform that lifted us into the air like a towering pillar. The Anbu launched fire jutsu at the enemies, but their attacks were blocked by walls of earth. Meanwhile, the 10 ninjas who had been preparing their chakra unleashed the Earth-style Earth Golem Jutsu, summoning a colossal golem. As their chakra levels dropped to approximately 85%, one of the enemy ninjas taunted, "Hokage-sama, if you wish to preserve your life, surrender. We promise to return you to Konoha after they have surrendered to us." The Hokage regarded them with a furrowed brow, and with a calm voice, he performed a series of hand signs, slamming his palm onto the ground, and initiating a summoning jutsu. Enma, the monkey summon, emerged. Enma, adamantine staff, commanded Hiruzen. In response, the Earth Golem launched an attack. The Hokage maintained a composed expression, devoid of any worry, as he calmly uttered, "Lengthen." Fwash, the staff extended and effortlessly pierced through the stone golem. "Widen," he commanded, and with those words, the battle came to an abrupt end. The staff expanded, obliterating the Earth Golem, a formidable S-rank jutsu, into debris. 10 of the Jounin perished, crushed by the falling rubble in the force of the staff. Witnessing this, the remaining 9 enemies seized the opportunity to launch jutsu at us, but the Anbu swiftly erected earth walls to shield us. However, it soon became evident that their true intention was to create a diversion and escape. The Hokage, quick to discern their strategy, employed the Shadow Clone Jutsu, creating 9 clones. He tossed a scroll to each clone, and with a nod, they gave chase without delay. Finally, we had a moment to catch our breath. 3 minutes later, one of the clones returned, carrying a scroll in his hands, which he handed to the Hokage, a scroll containing the remains of their fallen comrades. "Let us depart from here. Our tents were destroyed, and we should proceed to the designated meeting point," declared Hiruzen, as if he had not just decimated a squad of Jounin, specifically trained to battle a cage. From that point on, our journey continued without further interruption. The Hokage and I engaged in small talk, and then he transitioned into full professor mode, imparting his knowledge on how he deduced the enemy's true identity as Stone Ninja. Eventually, we arrived at the Konoha camp. It had been quite some time since I last set foot here. Tsukumo greeted us and caught sight of me. "Hey kid, how was your vacation?" I cast my gaze downward, projecting sadness, and remained silent. An Anbu operative swiftly performed hand signs, explaining what had transpired. Tsukumo's expression shifted to one of sorrow as he addressed me. "My condolences for your loss. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here for you." We then proceeded to the battlefield, where a large tent stood, housing both Sand and Konoha ninjas ready for war at a moment's notice. Accompanied by Tsukumo and the Hokage, we entered the tent with the Konoha ninjas standing aside, creating a path for us. 2 Konoha ninjas pulled back the tent's entrance flap, revealing Chiyo and the 3rd Kazekage seated at a desk, their hands resting upon a map of the 5 nations. We settled into our respective chairs inside the tent, with the Hokage positioned in the middle, Tsukumo on the right, and myself on the left. The Kazekage directed a cold gaze toward me and spoke with a disdainful tone. "Kazekage, so, you're the brat who managed to defeat Arachibi. You certainly don't appear to be much of a threat." Recognizing his attempt to provoke me, I responded with a smile, adopting a confident demeanor. "Me? Ha 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 ha. Thank you, Kazekage-sama." That's what Chiyo thought before I severed her arm. I allowed a wicked smile to cross my face before continuing, "And that's also what your Jinchuriki believed before I eliminated him." Of course, some other Sand Jounin shared their misguided conviction, but, well, their fate was, how should I put it, more severe. The Kazekige's anger flared, and he emitted a palpable aura of killing intent directed toward me. However, before it could reach me, the Hokage released his own chakra, intercepting the hostile energy. "Hiruzen, Kazekage, attempting to attack a ninja from a village with whom you are seeking peace does not convey the message of peace very effectively." Chiyo, observing the Kazekige's rash behavior, gazed at him with disappointment. Tsukumo, too, regarded him with a frown. Meanwhile, I maintained my usual smile, seemingly oblivious to the tension in the room. I understood that by goading the Kazekige, I had diminished their standing further, already positioned beneath us due to their village's inferiority and the necessity of awaiting our arrival. their status had now diminished even further. Only Chiyo and the Hokage comprehended the underlying political dynamics. Even I, despite my manipulative abilities, lacked their expertise. However, the Hokage possessed a weakness: he yearned for peace, and the others were aware of this. This placed us in a delicate stalemate with them for now. Attempting to defuse the situation, the Hokage intervened. "Hiruzen, come now, we will soon be allies. There's no need for further conflict amongst ourselves." The Kazekage, recognizing the Hokage's efforts, followed suit. Kazekage: "Fine, but for us to sign this treaty, I require the puppet that the kid took from Chiyo and the Jinchuriki." "Hiruzen, I can offer you the Jinchuriki for 500 million ryo. It's a reasonable price considering that the first Hokage sold the one tails for 1 billion ryo per tailed beast." They proceeded to negotiate, ultimately settling on a price of 100 million ryo. The Hokage's lack of negotiation skills surprised me. His unwavering desire for peace had significantly reduced the price, weakening his position. Additionally, they agreed to a 5-year peace treaty, with a future meeting scheduled in 5 years to reassess its continuation. Breaking this contract would be difficult, since it had been signed by both daimyo. Then, Chiyo turned her attention toward me and made a demand. "Chiyo, now that we are allies, return the puppet you took from me." As if I would comply with such a request. While I understood that I couldn't keep the puppet, as it held great value to Suna, I had no intention of surrendering it freely. I smiled and replied, "I'm sorry, Chiyo-san, but I cannot simply relinquish it. I am studying the puppet, and you may retrieve it once the war is over." Chiyo frowned, furrowing her eyebrows. "Chiyo, I am willing to offer you 1 million ryo for its return." "I will accept if you provide me with 20 million ryo." Chiyo was taken aback by my audacity. "Chiyo, are you out of your mind, kid? With that amount, I could create 2 puppets." "Indeed, but the necessary ingredients are not readily available, especially during wartime." I was well aware that these puppets were created by the first puppeteer in the anime. If they were easily replicable, Suna would possess more of them. "Chiyo, I will offer you 5 million for it." "As allies, I will give it to you for 17 million. "Chiyo, kid, stop playing games. 7 million is my final offer." "Then you will have to pay me after the war is over." Chiyo seemed slightly unsettled as she reluctantly proposed 9 million. I feigned exasperation and responded, Okay, there's no need to beg. I will give it to you for 9,500,000 ryo." Chiyo glared at me, a visible vein pulsating on her forehead. "Chiyo, are you fine?" The others in the room wore expressions of surprise, witnessing an 8-year-old negotiating with a seasoned veteran and emerging victorious. After some further planning between the Hokage and the Kazekage, strategizing on how to apply additional pressure on the Wagaka, Rock Village, we exited the tent. We engaged in a discussion, and soon the Hokage addressed Tsukumo. "Hiruzen, Tsukumo, you need to proceed to the borders of the Lightning Country. I will accompany you. Our objective is to impede the Third Reikage. According to Root's information, they are nearing our borders, so we must slow them down." We convened inside our designated meeting tent, where only Tsukumo, the Hokage, and I were present. Tsukumo appeared somewhat nervous as he spoke. "Tsukumo, stopping him won't be easy even with both of us. The Third Reikage is renowned as the Almighty A." The Hokage reassured him, revealing a plan involving Root disguised as Mist Ninja, launching a direct attack on the hidden Cloud Village. "Hokage, don't worry too much. Danzo will have Root operatives posing as Mist Ninja, instigating a direct assault on the village hidden in the clouds. If the plan succeeds, we will only need to hold off the Third Reikage momentarily." Then, the Hokage turned to me and posed a question. "Hiruzen, what about you, Yami? Will you join us?" I inwardly chuckled at the notion of participating in a battle against the Third Reikage, whom even Naruto with his Kyuubi chakra struggled against, and that too, with the assistance of the 8 tails. Moreover, the Reikage had been weakened by Edo Tensei. No, I had no intention of engaging in such a conflict. I feigned contemplation before responding. "I'm sorry, Hokage-sama, Tsukumo-sama, but I must attend to my clan for a while following our recent tragedy. Besides, defeating the one-tailed Jinchuriki exhausted all the luck I had. I am too weak to aid you, Hokage-sama." The Hokage regarded me with understanding. "Hiruzen, alright, take care of yourself on the journey. By the way, Yami, you possess a talent for haggling. Were it not for your exceptional ninja skills, I might have mistaken you for a cunning merchant." I smiled and scratched the back of my head, responding casually. Well, I'd like to think I could excel as a merchant, but contemplating my response during the entire journey from Konoha to here was quite tiresome. That was a fabrication. While I did possess minimal experience in marketing from my previous life, I honed my acting skills to the point where I could portray myself as a seasoned professional in this field. The Hokage chuckled lightly. "Hokage, indeed, but that skill still holds value in its own right. Given a week, most people wouldn't come up with anything decent. Take care of yourself, Yami. I have high expectations for you." I gazed at him with a tinge of sadness and replied, "Please take care as well." Hokage-sama, I can't wait for this war to end. I'm just so tired of it. With that, I made my way to a medical tent, exhausted and in need of rest. As I turned, the Hokage called out, "Hokage." Oh, I almost forgot, Yami. As a reward for capturing the Ichibi, you will receive 30% of the payment from the deal. He tossed a scroll in my direction, which I promptly opened. Inside was a letter addressed to Konoha's bank, bearing the Hokage's seal and signature. So, I would receive 30 million Ryo. I had initially believed the Hokage wouldn't offer me anything during wartime, but this unexpected windfall would prove useful for advancing my plans. After the war concluded, tomorrow, I awakened and informed Tsukumo that I was returning to Konoha. Making swift progress, I reached the village within a day and a half. Immediately, I sought refuge in a hotel to freshen up before heading to the market to acquire new clothes resembling my current attire. Though similar, they were brand new, giving me a renewed appearance. After a well-rested sleep, I set my sights on the Inuzuka clan compound. It was time to set my scheme into motion and embark on the next phase of my plan. Stepping into the clan compound, I focused on my sensory abilities, detecting the presence of all the ninja and civilian members of the clan. This was promising. I created a clone and instructed everyone to gather at the clan head's house. Minus 10 minutes later all the clan's ninjas, along with some civilians, had assembled. I led them inside, and we made our way to the grand dining and meeting room. Upon reaching the entrance, I stood before the door and gestured for them to enter, subtly exerting influence over their movements. They followed my lead, and as each person took their seat at the long tables, I took my place last, our deliberate display of superiority. Alas, they remained oblivious to the language of subtlety. Once seated, I immediately addressed the gathering. Me, ladies and gentlemen, I have something important to share with all of you. I will become the clan head. I observed the room, meeting Tsume's gaze and sensing a hint of approval in her eyes. It seemed that my manipulation during our time together under the same roof had not been in vain. Perhaps she held a crush on me. Suddenly, one of the Inuzuka clan members spoke out. "Why should we listen to you, kid? You're nothing but a brat who still reeks of his mother's milk." I directed my gaze toward him and swiftly employed the paralysis jutsu, causing him to freeze in fear. With a stern look, I addressed him. "Me, sit down. I did not give you permission to speak yet." He immediately took his seat, drenched in sweat and sporting an expression of terror. I continued without hesitation. "Me, as far as I know, the strongest Inuzuka assumes the role of clan head. To avoid wasting our time, I have decided to challenge all of you to a battle. It will be all of you against me." Another clan member voiced his dissatisfaction. "Arrogant prick. Who does he think he is?" Several individuals appeared annoyed by my proclamation. However, the number of disgruntled voices was fewer than I had anticipated. Their discontent did not concern me, for defeating them would prove effortless. None possessed the same battlefield experience as I did. Most were primarily trackers tasked with identifying any enemies who infiltrated the Fire Country. Actual combat situations were rare for them. Rising from my chair, I positioned myself at the front of the room and instructed my dog to remain hidden, positioned behind anyone who dared to challenge me. "Me, come on, you're taking too long. I'm growing impatient." All the Inuzuka ninjas rose to their feet, and one of them suggested taking the fight outside to avoid damaging the house. "Why don't we go outside? No need to wreck the place." "Me, there's no need. You won't even have a chance to blink before I'm finished." Their anger intensified, and without uttering a word, they immediately launched their attacks against me. In response, I signaled my clones, and they hauled Senbon swiftly, ensuring that no civilians would notice. The Senbon found their mark, piercing the necks of all the Inuzuka ninjas. Taking advantage of the moment, I employed Shunshin, darting through their midst to position myself alongside my dog behind them. To the onlookers, it appeared as if I had moved in a flash, while the Inuzuka ninja collapsed onto the ground. I turned towards them, addressing the fallen warriors. "Me, from now on, I am the Inuzuka clan head. Does anyone else have a problem with that?" Silence pervaded the room as they stared at me with fear, uncertain of how to respond. Eventually, they clapped hesitantly, their uncertainty lingering. Removing the Senbon from their necks, I spoke to them firmly. "Me, together, we shall transform this clan into the greatest the 5 nations have ever witnessed. Are you all with me? Do you desire to see our clan, our family, rise to the pinnacle of the world?" They regarded me as if I were their leader, a figure akin to a deity. It was simple to sway them when one possessed power and a touch of genjutsu. The first step of my plan had been successfully executed. 3 days later. As I wandered through Konoha, my thoughts revolved around methods to enhance the individual strengths of every Inuzuka clan member. I had several ideas and experimental techniques that I could test on them. In theory, these techniques should work, and I could adapt them for my own use. However, I had no intention of being the test subject. It would be far better to experiment on willing Inuzuka ninjas. As for convincing them, I would employ the manipulation of power and glory, drawing them towards me. Though cliché, it proved effective since most individuals desired power, and many sought glory. Furthermore, this approach would conveniently avoid raising suspicions in the event an Inuzuka ninja suddenly went missing. After all, our clan had a limited number of members. It was far better if they volunteered for the experiments. With that settled, I assigned my shadow clones to handle the paperwork and focus on improving the clan's economic aspects. Now, all that remained was to gather the necessary materials for my experiments, a task I had entrusted to one of my clones. As I strolled along, I spotted a ramen stand, the Ichiraku Ramen. It appeared rather modest, possibly a newly opened establishment. I recognized the teenager working there and observed two familiar individuals enjoying their meal, one from the academy and the other from the Anime. Smiling, I approached them. Me. Hey Minato, long time no see. Minato turned his gaze towards me, offering a smile as I waved and jogged toward him. Once I reached his location, I settled into a chair to his left. He acknowledged my presence and spoke. Minato, hey Yami, long time no see. So, you graduated early as well? Huh? Me? Yeah. I also joined the battle in the sand. Have you been on any missions? I heard that your Jonin sensei and my Jounin sensei were once teammates. He smiled warmly, responding to my inquiry. Minato, actually, that's pretty cool. My Jounin sensei talks about his former teammates whenever he's had a few drinks. So, who's your Jounin sensei? Tsunade or Orochimaru? Me. Tsunade. She's a medic ninja. Anyway, have you been on the battlefield? Minato, yeah. I was deployed to the Mist Country battlefield, but when Jiraiya-sensei headed to the Land of Rain for his mission, he sent me back to Konoha with my teammates. I put on a slightly saddened expression, trying to hide it. Me. Oh, I see. Do you still go on D-rank missions with them? Minato. Yeah, we do. Usually about 3 D-ranks per week. Since we're mostly focused on training, we don't take on many more than that. I smirked derisively, inwardly amused. Any normal 9-year-old would have been irritated by my comment. However, Minato possessed not an ounce of evil within him. Well, that was just an expression. I was fairly certain he had taken lives before. My attention shifted to the girl who had devoured 6 bowls of ramen by herself. She seemed annoyed by being ignored and exclaimed, Kishina, hey, WHO are you, kid? You're being disrespectful. I looked at her apologetically and made a remorseful face. Me? Sorry. I didn't mean to come across that way, senpai. Then, I glanced at her and added, me? By the way, you're just a kid too. Kishina, what did you say? I'm a genin, so IT doesn't matter if I'm a kid. Sporting a mocking smile, I looked at her and said, me? Well, I'm already a chunin, which means I'm your senior already. Her anger ignited, and her hair seemed to float behind her. Ah, so my mocking smile had the desired effect. Minato appeared shocked, turning his gaze towards Kishina. Minato, Kishina, please calm down. And Yami, stop provoking her. I chuckled softly. Me? Sorry, Kishina-san. I was just teasing. After a few seconds, she took a deep breath and regained her composure. Kishina, alright, I'll forgive you if you treat me to ramen. I observed her hair intently, sensing her nervousness. She likely anticipated me making fun of her, but instead, I said, me? So, judging by your red hair, you must be an Uzumaki. I'll buy you ramen on one condition. I gave her a cold, serious look, causing her to gulp nervously. Then, I suddenly brightened my smile. Me? Teach me Fuinjutsu. She responded with a mix of anger and embarrassment. Kishina, what the hell? You anticlimactic little shit. Realizing what she had said, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Reacting to the situation, I clarified my statement. Me? No, what I meant was that I wanted you to teach me Fuinjutsu, since the Uzumaki clan was renowned for it. She looked at me and replied, Kishina, sigh, alright, every day at 2 o'clock, right here at this stand, 5 bowls of ramen. Minato will join us too because I made the same deal with him. I assumed a serious expression. Me? Okay, Kishina-sensei. She blushed slightly at being called sensei. We engaged in small talk for a while, and eventually a younger Fuchi joined our conversation while simultaneously cooking. It was surprisingly easy to befriend Kishina. She was incredibly friendly once you got to know her. After some time, we bid each other farewell, each heading back to our respective homes. Kishina made her way towards the Senju compound, where she would learn from and visit Mito. Minato headed to his rented apartment along the same road leading to my clan compound. As we walked together, I initiated a conversation with Minato. Me? So, what's the deal between you and her? Minato, well, we had the same arrangement as you do with her. Me? You know, that's not what I'm talking about. Minato, she teaches me some basic Fuinjutsu because I find it interesting. I gave him a sidelong glance. Me? If I'm not mistaken, your Jounin teacher Jiraiya knows a bit about Fuinjutsu. Why didn't he teach you? Minato masked his panic well. but he was still too young to completely hide it from me. Minato, well, he's currently at war and doesn't have the time. Besides, I think he left some notes behind for his young and promising student. Or perhaps he didn't. He frowned, looking at me. Minato, what are you trying to say? Me? I'm saying that Minato Namikaze is not the kind of kid who spends money needlessly. He continued walking, gazing forward, and said nothing in response. Minato, if I'm not mistaken, Tsunade-sama's grandmother is a master of Fuinjutsu and Inuzumaki. Why don't you learn from her? Me? Well, I don't want to be a bother to an old lady who should be enjoying her final years on Earth. That was a lie, of course. I couldn't be certain if Tsunade's grandmother possessed the ability to sense emotions like Karen could. I prefer to stay away from her for now. Changing the subject, I continued. Me, by the way, I know you're trying to divert the conversation, so let's get back to it. Minato looked at me, snorted, and replied, Minato, alright then, what's your conclusion, Yami? The guy who seems to know everything about everyone. Me, well, my conclusion is that you have feelings for Kushina. Minato stopped in his tracks, his face turning shocked and slightly blushing. Minato, ugly what? I don't know what you're talking about. Me, oh, I think I do, my friend. I think I do. His shoulders slumped and he sighed. Minato, okay? Okay, you got me, but please don't tell anyone. You're the only one who knows. Me, don't worry. I wasn't planning on sharing that with anyone. I looked him in the eyes, a small smirk on my face. Me, after all, we're friends, aren't we? Minato sighed in relief. Minato, you're right. We are friends. I shouldn't have been so worried about something like this. Me, but I still want something. Minato looked at me with wide eyes, anticipation evident on his face. I smiled slightly and said, Me, what I need is a spar with you. Minato stared at me for a moment and then replied, a hint of resignation in his voice. Minato, you could have just asked me normally. I would have accepted anyway. I smirked at him. Me, I know. I'm just feeling dramatic today. Anyway, we'll spar tomorrow after our Fuinjutsu studies with Kushina. He looked at me and nodded. Minato, okay. We engaged in some more idle conversation before parting ways. I entered my house and found my clones training in the backyard. After ensuring that everything in my lab was in order, I performed some exercises to stay in shape and went to sleep. The following day, I woke up, took a shower, and dressed in my usual attire. Sensing the nearest Chunin, I made my way to the training ground where he was practicing with his Ninken. When I approached him, he turned and acknowledged me. Me, hey there, I see you're training hard. He bowed slightly and greeted me. Akamaru, good morning, Yami-sama. I observed him, thinking to myself how easily the Inuzuka clan could be manipulated and controlled through displays of power. Although they were considered a mediocre clan, their lack of internal schemes worked in my favor. Looking into his eyes, I spoke with a determined expression. Me, I've noticed your dedication to training here. I've developed a secret technique that can make Inuzukas stronger. As a reward for your hard work, I would like to use it on you. You'll be the first Inuzuka I teach this technique to, and eventually you'll have to pass it on to others. Will you accept this reward and responsibility to help us make the Inuzuka clan the greatest? Akamaru looked at me with admiration. These manipulations were child's play for someone like me. Akamaru, yes, Inuzuka-sama. I maintained eye contact with him and continued. Me, alright, then. We're going to my house for you to learn the technique and I'll activate it for you. He and his Ninken followed me as we walked. During the journey, I asked him to introduce himself, his likes, dislikes, and hobbies. While I wasn't particularly interested in those details, I wanted to give him the impression that he was chosen for his merits rather than simply being the closest ninja to my home. His name was Akamaru Inuzuka. Once we arrived at my house, we entered the lab. I instructed Akamaru to lie down on the table, assuring him that this experiment was safe. Meanwhile, I discreetly placed his Ninken in the hallway, tied up to prevent interference. My own dog would stand guard at the door to ensure no one interrupted us. I also hung a sign on the door, warning others not to disturb us due to the critical nature of the experiment. I didn't want Tsume to accidentally stumble upon our activities. Furthermore, I inserted 2 thin tubes into Akamaru's nose, causing him to immediately fall unconscious. This was made possible by a rare and expensive drug my clone had acquired, one that induced paralysis and unconsciousness, while maintaining normal chakra activity. Although the experiment wasn't dangerous, it was vital to maintain a controlled environment. I proceed with caution as I conduct the experiment on Akamaru, ensuring that I keep a record of his vital signs and monitor his body's response. The worst case scenario would be his death, in which case I would have to make it appear as a training accident or an assassination. However, in the midst of war, the investigation into the death of a Chunin would likely be cursory, and as the clan head, I would have control over any further inquiries. With the preparations in place, I take another needle-like instrument and infuse it with chakra. Carefully, I create a small hole in Akamaru's heart. Instantly, his body begins to heat up, and he jolts violently. Realizing the need to act swiftly, I remove the needle, causing the hole in his heart to enlarge slightly. Though this outcome was expected, I utilize my chakra to forcibly halt the expansion, preventing further damage. I then insert the needle once again, using healing chakra to close the hole as I remove it. Conducting a thorough scan of his body, I observe the toll the experiment has taken. It has not only affected his physical condition, but has also shortened his lifespan to a certain extent. The technique does provide a slight increase in his original chakra levels and body strength by repairing the damaged muscles. However, it comes at the cost of sacrificing lifespan for strength. It is not a technique I would personally employ. Satisfied with the obtained results, which aligned with my expectations, I now possess the means to enhance the strength of my clan. I consider the possibility of creating a curse mark above their hearts to control and prevent the expansion of the small hole I would make for them. However, mastering Fuinjutsu would be necessary to accomplish this. Additionally, I would incorporate a kill switch into the curse mark, ensuring I maintain control over my pawns. Once Akamaru regains consciousness, I administer pain relievers to ease his discomfort. He appears confused and weary. I inform him that I will call him at a later time for the final treatment, providing him with 500,000 ryu, and advising him not to overexert himself, and to get something to eat. He departs, leaving me to restore the lab to its original state, and document this method, ensuring the text is written in English, rather than the native language of the Naruto world, presumably Japanese, to prevent anyone from deciphering its contents. After taking some rest, I prepare to attend Kushina's lessons. Afterward, I eagerly anticipate my fight with Minato, eager to witness his talent and growth. Considering his current chakra levels, which are akin to those of a peak Shunin on the cusp of reaching Jounin level, it is no surprise. His rapid chakra growth within a year and a half since graduation can be attributed to his dedication to advanced chakra exercises. However, I suspect that his progress will slow exponentially once he reaches the Jounin level, and it will become sluggish when he approaches the chakra levels of a kage. Chakra level alone cannot serve as an accurate indicator of strength for ninjas like Minato. I am certain that even at his young age of 9, he possesses the strength of a low-level Jounin at the very least. Comparing his abilities to mine, with my chakra level approaching high Jounin status, is irrelevant. I have been training my chakra since the age of 2, and my initial chakra level was already above average. As chakra levels increase, it becomes progressively more challenging to train and further expand it. I have yet to reach my limit, so it is not a concern at the moment. In any case, strength cannot be solely determined by chakra levels. I believe Minato's strength is already at the minimum level of a low-level Jounin, despite his tender age. As I walk towards Ichiraku Ramen, I find Kushina already seated. I arrived 5 minutes earlier than the agreed time, not wanting to test her patience by being late. Taking my seat, I greet her. Me. Hi Kushina, how are you doing? She looks at me and responds with a hint of annoyance. Kushina. Hi, and what's up with that generic question? Letting out a sigh, I admit the truth. Me. I'm kind of bored, so do we have to wait for Minato, or can we start? Kushina rests her head on the table and replies. Kushina. Well, we can't really start, but you can show me how much you know about seals. Feeling a tad embarrassed, I confess. Me. I'm not really that good at it. I just want to learn. I only know some firework seals. Kushina stares at me and struggles to suppress her laughter, covering her mouth. Eventually, she bursts out laughing. Kushina. EFT ha 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 ha. You want to learn Fuinjutsu like that? After a minute of laughter, Kushina looks at my serious and slightly angry expression. Of course, my anger is feigned. She is just a child, and I am merely acting. I speak to her. Me. I've only been learning Fuinjutsu for a short time. I'm simply interested in it. Kushina smiles at me and says reassuringly, Kushina, no need to be so angry. She then summons a scroll and extracts a book from it. Handing it to me, I read the title, Uzumaki Beginner Fuinjutsu. I immediately delve into its contents, discovering a treasure trove of seals. The book begins with the finger carving seal, the same one Jiraiya used to inscribe the code on the back of the toad when he died. It serves as an introduction to Fuinjutsu within the book. Towards the end, I encounter the 3-barrier seal, a variant of the 5-seal barrier technique. This seal involves placing 3 sealing tags around a protected hideout, generating a dense mist when someone attempts to enter through a hidden entrance. The only way to dispel the mist is by removing the tags surrounding the protected area. This book is truly exceptional, a goldmine of knowledge. If I can learn all the Fuinjutsu that Kushina can teach me, I will become one of the foremost Fuinjutsu masters in Konoha, or perhaps even within the entire 5 nations once the canon timeline commences. Considering that the Uzumaki clan is nearly eradicated during that period, with much of their knowledge lost, this opportunity is invaluable. The beginner Fuinjutsu taught in the Konoha library consisted of the firework seal as an introduction and the small explosion seal at the end, which is not particularly effective against ninjas due to its long fuse time and small explosion. However, the Uzumaki book introduces the standard explosive seals used by ninjas on the battlefield even in its beginner version. I can hardly contain my excitement for the advanced version that lies ahead. Excitement courses through me as I absorb the knowledge from the Uzumaki book. However, my focus is interrupted by Minato's approach. I greet him briefly, and then Kushina takes charge, teaching him from the intermediate book. While we enjoy our ramen, 2 hours pass, and we conclude our studies. I secure the Uzumaki book within my scroll, and propose a spar between Minato and me, suggesting Kushina act as our referee. She hesitates for a moment, but eventually agrees. We make our way to the training ground, positioning ourselves about 20 meters apart. I hand my Ninken over to Kushina, ensuring that she won't witness all of my abilities. Kushina declares the start of our match, swiftly retreating to observe without interfering. Without delay, Minato launches a fire-style fireball jutsu, but I counter with an earth-style earth wall, using it as a shield. Anticipating his next move, I leap backward, sensing a shadow clone lurking behind Minato. My intuition tells me that he planned to amplify his fire jutsu with a wind jutsu. However, to my surprise, he refrains from using the technique, opting to maintain eye contact with me. Smirking, he speaks. Minato, so, you're a sensor. Me, you're a sensor too, aren't you? Minato, indeed, I am a sensor. Inwardly, I reflect on Minato's sensory abilities. I possess close-range sensing capabilities, able to discern chakra with greater clarity in close proximity. Conversely, Minato excels in long-range sensing, capable of detecting chakra from farther distances with enhanced accuracy. However, based on my knowledge from the anime, he has yet to acquire the technique that allows him to sense nearby chakra. Engaging in a close quarters to jutsu battle, we continue to converse casually, while I remain vigilant of his clone. Minato, I was surprised when I sensed your chakra during our first meeting. It's not every day I encounter a younger kid with more chakra than myself. The only other person my age with a comparable chakra reserve is Kushina. Minato's observation is accurate. Kushina possesses a similar amount of chakra to mine, perhaps slightly more. However, I am aware that once she becomes a Jinchuriki, her chakra capacity will far surpass mine. As an Uzumaki and a Jinchuriki combined, her chakra levels will be nothing short of monstrous. Returning to our Taijutsu exchange, my demeanor turns serious. As Minato lunges forward with a punch, I activate the four-legged technique, skillfully deflecting his strike, swiping his legs out from under him, and delivering a forceful kick to his stomach. He is sent soaring through the air. While he is mid-flight, I observe Minato performing hand seals. Instinctively, I leap backward just as the ground beneath me starts to shift. Swiftly ascending, I hurl a kunai toward the disturbance. A hand emerges from the earth, but before I can discern its purpose, it dissolves into a smokescreen, momentarily obscuring my vision. Although Minato's chakra signature vanishes, I can still detect his presence through scent. Remarkably, he manages to suppress his chakra, leaving me to ponder his next move. In response to the kunai aimed at my foot, I swiftly kick behind me, causing Minato to block with his own kunai. However, my strike still manages to push him away. Curiously, I inquire about his chakra suppression technique. Me, how were you able to suppress your chakra like that? Minato smirks, revealing a torn tag on his wrist. Minato, it's a seal you'll learn in the intermediate Uzumaki Fuinjutsu book, but there's a drawback: you can't use ninjutsu while it's active. Understanding his method, I make a mental note to devise countermeasures. Minato then turns the conversation toward my sensory abilities. Minato, and how were you able to track me? I simply point to my nose. Minato, I didn't consider that. I forgot about your sensory skills. He proceeds to employ lightning style spider net, causing an electrified web to spread across the ground. Reacting swiftly, I leap onto a nearby tree, avoiding the trap. Observing my position, Minato throws a kunai, but I manage to dodge it. However, to my surprise, Minato emerges from the kunai, utilizing substitution. I immediately retaliate with a kick, but he skillfully evades and delivers a counter kick toward my face. Swiftly blocking the attack with my hand, I forcefully throw him against a tree, only to discover it was a mere log. Minato reappears behind me, prepared to strike with a kunai aimed at my back. Reacting swiftly, I activate the substitution technique, causing the kunai to lightly graze a Jinjutsu-infused log, preventing any harm to myself. Taking advantage of the situation, I position myself behind Minato, with a kunai pressed against his neck. Raising his hands in surrender, he concedes defeat. Minato, I give up. Smiling, I respond, me, that was close. In a real battle, I'm not sure I would have emerged victorious. Despite my victory, I remain humble, knowing that the outcome could have been different if both Minato and I had unleashed our full power. Kushina and I share laughter over the outcome, teasing Minato about his defeat at the hands of someone younger. He joins in, noting that he refrained from summoning toads during a fight, suggesting it would have tipped the scales in his favor. We continue to exchange light-hearted banter, acknowledging that Minato's ability to summon giant toads would require Jounin-level chakra reserves. Reflecting on the battle, I can't help but admire Minato's exceptional instincts and spatial awareness. His swift reactions, the flawless execution of his Flying Thunder God technique truly remarkable. He defeated 1,000 opponents without making even the slightest mistake. Yet, I hold my ground knowing that victory was within my grasp, having held a kunai to his throat ready to strike before he could react.
And that's the end of this episode. The series will continue in the next part. So be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share, and comment down below. This really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, we'll be seeing you in the next part. Check out my other anime videos.